Welcome to another podcast about geek culture in a medium already saturated with everything nerds love and crave. It's the Lunatic Parade Podcast. Fuck this, let's do it! Do it!
Right. Well, we're rolling. My name is Curt. I'm here with Trent.
Hey, how's it going?
Stormy.
Hey.
And Bob.
That would be me.
We're the Lunatic Parade Podcast, and today we're talking about... Trent, let's go with you, man. What do you want to talk about today?
Oh, you want to start with me? Okay. I think the first item on my list is... I wanted to talk a little bit about... Actually, I'm not going to go in order on this little cheat sheet Stormy created for us. We're going to start off talking about...
Stormy.
Yes, very much, man. A lot of hard work went into that.
I enjoy doing it. I love to learn new things. I get so excited doing it. And it's so funny because I kept messaging him on Slack going, oh my God, guess what I found out? Oh my God, guess what I found out?
Totally, dude. I expected a couple of bullet points, and then she gave me a 4-page report.
Did you finish your homework for this week?
I did.
Exactly. Let's start off talking about the sci-fi tabletop role-playing games.
Right on.
The reason I wanted to bring this up is because I've noticed, we've played a Starfinder game here, a couple of sessions. I like the system. I think the story that we're playing, the DM that's running it right now, it's not very inclusive of everybody, so it's making the session kind of complicated for everybody to enjoy playing. Right. But I do like the system, and I started thinking about it, and I'm like, all you ever see on Twitter and Twitch and all that stuff is Dungeons and Dragons, and I'm like, I want to know, number one, what have you guys played? Sci-fi game-wise. And when I say sci-fi, I mean Starfinder or anything futuristic. You know what I mean? Anything futuristic. So I know you brought up one that was spy versus spy or some shit like that. Or
ninjas versus super spies.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Now, what I found out when I did look those up, the one took place in ancient Japan. It was more of an ancient base.
Yeah, it was feudal Japan.
But there's flying saucers and shit?
Yeah, it was feudal Japan, but it still had modern and postmodern tech to it.
Oh, it did?
Yes.
Okay, I did not know that. We did not know that. So yeah, what have you guys played?
When it comes to the number of games I've played, it's a shorter list to say what haven't I played.
Fair enough, Bob. All right, what about you, Curt?
Just the Star Wars games.
Yeah, so you played the Star Wars tabletop?
I played the Star Wars tabletop. We made a couple of runs at it. It's just, it's not my thing.
Yeah, I did play Star Wars 2 back in the day when it first came, when it first came out, because we grabbed it much later on, because I think it came out in the 80s, didn't it? It was late 80s or something like that. I think it was when it landed.
Yes.
But I know we picked it up in the mid 90s or something like that, and I played one campaign, and it was fun. But then everybody just kind of fell apart on it. You know what I mean? And that seems to happen a lot with these sci-fi games that I play. People are like, let's do it. And they get 3-4 sessions in, and you're like, oh, play 5th edition.
That's exactly what happened. Yeah. The whole time, I'm always thinking to myself, no matter what we did, it's kind of modern too. Also, there was one called Modern D20.
I've heard of that. Yeah.
So it was a little bit of sci-fi influence in there, but the same thing. The whole time we were just wishing that we were playing Dungeons and Dragons. So
right now, you've only played the Starfinder with us.
I've only played Starfinder, and it might have a little bit to do with the DM that we had, because me and Bob sat and ate sandwiches the whole time while Trent did all this stuff. Really, for 2 sessions, Bob went and did one thing, and other than that, in those 2 sessions, which were 4-hour sessions, me and Bob just sat there. He'd go, "You want a sandwich?" And we sat there and we ate sandwiches. All
the time while we watched Trent do stuff. I did turn on a couple of computers for them because they needed power, but that was about it.
And she opened a couple of doors. So you're R2. Yeah. She opened a couple of doors. You know what I mean?
For me, I I'm a big Merlin nerd. I'm a big Harry Potter nerd. And for me, Dungeons and Dragons fits more with what I like. I'm not really a Star Trek person. Sorry, Tim. But I did like The Expanse, but I mean, it's just it's not my cup of tea.
Well, Star Trek too. Like, I mean, I've never played any of the Star Trek video games, or I don't even know. I'm sure there's a role playing game out there somewhere for it.
There has to be.
The difference though, Star Trek is so different, and since we're on the subject of sci-fi, we might as well discuss this a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, you have the Trekkies and you have the Star Wars fans, and they're very rarely are they both the same. And I think that has to do with like the Trek universe is so docile. You know what I mean? Like, everything is very docile, very humane. It doesn't feel very adventurous. Even in the TV shows, I mean, except for like Voyager, like Star Trek Voyager, I love that show because they actually got into shit all the time. It was like Lost in Space meets Star Trek.
I'm old enough to remember when the Picard Star Trek that came out.
Next Generation.
Next Generation.
Yeah.
When Next Gen came out, the hugest flap blew up because they're like, how the fuck did they have a Klingon on the deck of the goddamn ship? Like, what is that?
Right.
What happened to this show?
Yeah, exactly.
What happened to the animosity?
Exactly.
You know, like they you're right. They're so tame that they managed to tame a fucking Klingon.
Yeah, I know. But then the Romulans became the enemies, you know what I mean? And the Ferengi and shit.
Well, that's just it. Like, that there is something about human beings in that way. That even on the most benevolent, forward-thinking, progressive TV show of all time, we still can't imagine a world in which there is no conflict.
Right.
We're still like,
I get
fire all of the phasers and shit. You know what I mean?
I think some of it, dude, is it's boring.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? If you think about it, like, even when we're playing role-playing games, man, if you have a game that is nothing but role-play for sessions, like, that gets to me. I'm like, dude, you got to throw a random encounter in here somewhere. Like, I'm getting tired of talking. Let me roll some fucking dice.
Fuck yeah.
You know what I mean? But anyways, I just was curious what everybody played. So I want to bring up then, like, what is it about sci-fi games that you think causes it to not have the same popularity? Because Stormy did some research in there, and we found out that Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition was obviously the highest selling role-playing game of last year. But right behind it was Starfinder.
No, it wasn't Starfinder, it was Shadowrun.
Oh, I'm sorry, Shadowrun.
Shadowrun was right behind it?
Shadowrun was right behind it, and Starfinder was right at the top, too. It was like number 3, I think.
Wow.
So it's
Shadowrun is a really... Well, I only played the 90s version of it. I haven't played the current one. But... you figure, walking out your street, you have magic and werewolves. And,
Okay, so Shadowrun still has that fantasy element, then.
Yes.
Okay, so it's not like... I mean, they all have fantasy element, but like werewolves and magic, to me, scream sword and sorcery.
Right.
Not like the tech-based sci-fi
Effectively, they tried to take... your Star Trek universe and just slam it into a D&D setting and give everybody powers, and then here you go.
Okay. Was it enjoyable to play? Is it a D20 system?
Yes, I did all that.
Okay. Sorry,
the original version was a D6 version.
My hands are a little busy.
Okay.
He's running the world over there.
It first came out in 1989, and they've had 7 editions since then. The latest one came out in 2019. This updated system, they have it on the online as saying it is a D20 system. It could have been one for the other ones, but it did win a couple awards. Recent awards.
I do remember us looking into Shadowrun back in the 90s, and I do remember it being a D6 system for the longest time, and we shied away from a lot of those. I remember, like, because basically we were all poor and all we had were a set of polyhedral dice, so what are you going to do? But no, like, seriously, Curt,
I fixed that problem currently.
Curt, what are your thoughts on why, like, you don't see Starfinder streams or Shadowrun streams or Star Wars tabletop role-playing game streams?
I think that and maybe this is just me, I think it's easier to kind of be an everyman or a newbie, as it were, in D&D, because there's just a discovery around the next corner, and all you really have to look at is your character, and then you discover the rest of the world. Whereas everything's sci-fi based, I think it's too stymieing, because you're like, I don't fucking know, like, this is just too much to play with. Like, it's got too many moving parts, and I can't get my head into like space characters unless, like, maybe if they made a game where you have to play yourself, like Last Starfighter, where you just got like fucking thrown into a fucked up world like that.
That's
and you have to
great
learn
idea.
everything. You know what I mean? As it goes, like, maybe that's, I don't know. For me, it's just I I would much rather enjoy those things like movies, books, TV shows, and I read all that stuff and love it. I'm that by sci-fi, as it were, where I am a Trekkie and a Star Wars nut.
Right,
I love
yeah.
them both equally.
Yeah, so do I. Cool, man. What do you think? Because I know you're new to this, so I'm curious what your thoughts are, because you have played both Starfinder. We've done it twice. You played a space goblin in one, and now you're a giant lizard.
Yeah. Okay. For me, it's like going back to saying like personal likes. For me, like if I never really watched a lot of sci-fi. So for me, trying to understand, number one, how to play the game and how to fit in that kind of like atmosphere or theme is too much for me. Now, whereas Dungeons and Dragons, I'm the biggest magic dragon nerd you've ever fucking met. So that kind of setting is a lot easier for me to fit in and learn the game at the same time.
Right.
Now, I will say this, if with kid gloves, if we could find a DM that would DM it okay, he did.
No,
it.
just say it. Just say it. He sucks.
Say it.
Okay.
Yeah, fuck the kid gloves.
If we could find a DM that would DM it like Tim does,
Right.
I would probably be able to get into it a little bit more.
Right on. Wow.
I think the problem that I have playing one of the more advanced games is the fact that with D&D, you've got a basis in history. You know what's possible. Like, take our one Starfighter game. We fired up a starship, and then the DM asked us, did you turn on the inertial dampeners? I don't even know what the fucking inertial dampener is.
Exactly.
So when we got slammed up against the wall, it's like going, how the fuck did I get penalized for that when I...
Right.
Like, oh, right, because I've got those on my couch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I ran into that a lot with that DM, regardless of system, in that I would let him know, like, look, I don't know this, but my character would.
Right.
Well, if you don't figure it out, like, that's not how it works in my world. Like,
I have inertial dampeners in my fridge. It's called craft beer. But
very effective. Man.
But no. You know what? I have to agree with you, because that's what I noticed too. Like, was not like I play an android in the Starfighter campaign, and like, so my job is to interface with computers and speak with them constantly. And it's like, I don't know how to play that because I've never seen it before. I mean, I'm a software developer, but I've still never seen somebody go, oh, I'm gonna fucking, this little tool's gonna come out of my finger, I'm gonna pull an R2 and interface with this fucking socket here, and I'm gonna talk to you in binary. Like, I don't know how to make that happen. Like, how do you role play that, dude? You know what I mean? Like, so I find, and I think too, the other thing, my other issue with the sci-fi games is that, and why I think, I mean, they're high selling, but why I think we don't see the popularity in them like we do with D&D podcasts and streams and blogs and stuff is because in sci-fi games there are so many fucking options. Like, there's so much shit you have to think about. Like, I have like 3 armor classes. Like, you know, you have to, there's so many fucking skills, and is this an engineering skill or is this a science skill? Like, what is what? Like, it's such a nightmare.
Well, do you have, like, I don't remember the Star Wars games, but in the one you were playing, is there healing?
In the Starfinder game?
Yeah.
There is.
I don't know. We never got that far.
Yeah.
I don't think
Because the modern D20 we played, like, with a first level character, you have this many hit points. There's no fucking healing. It takes months in a hospital.
Yeah,
when you get damaged, you're like, well, that's it. I'm out for what, months? Like,
there is healing in it because they have like stim packs and med packs, if I remember correctly. That would like similar to like you would consume in a video game.
Right on.
You know what I mean? Which, you know, now that I think about it, that's something we should think about for what we're doing.
Yes.
Is like a stim pack or a.
Well, we kind of talked about.
We kind of talked about that a little bit, but I don't want to get sidetracked on that one. But we have
coming soon.
We'll tell you all about that one in a couple of weeks.
We won't shut the fuck up about it.
Something I would like to bring up, though, is I've been doing a lot of work with Twitter lately, trying to just understand it and trying to, you know, we're a gaming company. Now, what I have found is that there are people out there that do post about role-playing sci-fi, like futuristic, but nowhere near as much as Dungeons and Dragons.
Right. Yeah.
But
exactly.
there are those out there, and they do post, and I'm learning quite a bit. But
Right. Yeah. You know, when I say you don't see it, what I mean is that you don't see it in popularity. Like, I have a couple people I follow too that do have a stream with that are doing Starfinder, but you do not see the plethora of them that you see like you do for fantasy. And I think some of that also comes down to the fact that every single one of us can sit here and picture ourselves in a suit of armor holding a sword or an axe. Picturing myself in a spacesuit.
I own one.
You know, exactly. Picturing yourself in a spacesuit with a laser pistol is a lot harder, I think. And I think that is where it leads to. And I think it does come down to that historical thing again. Like, you know, we have a history. Our history kind of evolved from that idea of Arthurian magic and Merlin and all that stuff. So it's deeply rooted in who we are. So it's much easier to grab a hold of that than it is to think about a distant future, you know, that we've been talking about being a distant future for 30 years. We still don't have flying cars in this almost 2020. You know
I need this question answered right now because I don't even know. It just occurred to me. So D&D have a dungeon master. What is it in space games? Are you the fucking Star Master? Like, what
Game
is it?
Master.
They call it Game Master and Starfinder.
Oh, that's vanilla as fuck.
Yeah.
That could be what? Wait, really?
yeah.
You could be like Emperor, you know, Star Master. I like that.
Star-Lord.
Star-Lord.
Lord.
Star-Lord.
Probably
that's
trademark
probably
this.
trademark.
We probably just got charged for saying it, you know, like. But anyway,
Go ahead, try and take it out of my bank
Right.
account.
Stanley just reached in my wallet and took a nickel.
so yeah, that was everything I had there. So I mean, somebody else bring up something.
Well, I know I had a hell of a lot of fun playing Rifts back in the early 2000s. Great game. I love the concept for it, but the 5 hours it took to create a character is a little daunting. You're like, hey, let's come over and play Rifts. Okay, here's the books. Build a character. It's like, when are we going to play? Probably next week.
What is Rifts? I don't think I've never played it or heard of it.
Rifts takes place in a futuristic North America / the world where ley lines are crossing the world and it's let dimensional beings through. It, like I said, a lot of fun. Character creation can take does take hours. There's so much intricacies and so much stuff that you can do but it also has more of that dungeon feeling to me.
So it's modern setting kind of crossed with the sword and sorcery type feel?
Yes.
Huh. That would be interesting to try if maybe we could find some pre-made characters to play so we don't have to spend 5 hours.
And a DM that doesn't hate the system.
I don't know. Like, that's the geekiest thing about me as a role player is when I do collect those games, like all different types of, and they're mostly D&D style games. I still like creating characters. Character creation is probably my favorite part of it, is just a myriad of possibilities. I've created dozens of characters I'm never going to play, and I can say it was a good time looking that up. Even Pathfinder, where you start to look at like feat trees and string them together. Do Rifts work like that, or is it like each class race combo there's more complicated things and nuances in each?
You can take a race in each one and then a class in each one, and then each class gets a specific level of skills, and it's all percentile dice. So
I get it.
Yeah, so you've got, it's like, okay, so I took my physical strength is a 30. I've got 5 different skills that add into my physical strength. All of those add a percentage to that, to my skills, like, and then
my head already hurts.
it's a lot of math. It's fun, but it's a lot of math. I actually made a Green Lantern person in it.
Oh, nice. So, that's cool.
I mean, you're able to, I'm like, whatever the fuck, you want to build a sword and sorcery knight in Rifts, you can do it.
Right.
He's going to get his ass kicked. Right up until the time he gets a laser sword. But up until that point, you can build that character.
That's pretty cool, man. You know, I might have to look into that because I like
I've
you.
Got the books somewhere.
Oh, you do? Because I like you.
Well, John has the books.
Okay. I'll keep that comment to myself.
They're my books. But he has them.
Yeah. But like I'm like you know, like I like to buy things just to have collect the games. You know, we may never play them. Like I totally intend on picking up The Expanse. I saw recently at Barnes & Noble that they actually have a role playing game for it.
Really?
So yeah. So I'm really interested in checking that out because I don't know if you've watched that show, but it's
Yeah.
fucking. We're
Yeah,
only
we
like.
started watching it. I'm not a big sci-fi person, but dude, it's amazing.
It's a very clever idea, and I like it when they don't just make gibberish up. Like,
Right.
well, I mean, some part of it is gibberish, but that's a part of it. When cultures start to blend, like on Firefly, when they knew the dominant culture would probably be Chinese, so they just pepper their speech with the Mandarin.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
I like that, and they do that on The Expanse too. There's a whole like.
I thought it was really interesting. We're only like episode 3 or 4 of it. We just started it. But
okay.
What I found really interesting, number one, is Thomas Jane. He's one of my favorite people on the planet.
He's great.
I'm so happy to see him land like a long-running series because I freaking love that guy.
Absolutely.
You know, number two, though, I loved the idea of how people are affected by like living on the asteroid belt. So like they're the long bones, they're like 7.5, 8 feet tall. And like when they get like, there's all these rival factions and they kidnap one and take him down to Earth. Torture for him was taking him out of the water tank because he's not used to being on Earth's gravity. So his brittle and long and undense bones, it would be like you going from your current weight to 5 times your weight like that. And
Yeah.
what that would feel like, you can't breathe. It's crushing. Like, that was such an interesting concept to me because that is 100% rooted in fucking science.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, that's fucking cool, dude.
Yeah,
like,
they don't do that usually in sci-fi where everybody from any other world just travels around like, we're cool.
Yeah, I
We'll
know,
just
right?
drop in.
That has no effect on me.
Right.
I'm from a world that's underwater, but I'm on Earth and I'm okay. Like,
That's kind of like the Orville, because there's a race in the Orville that their gravity on their planet is 4 or 5 times what it is on Earth, and they are superhumanly strong when they're
Right.
not on their planet. But throughout the series, you find out that she started losing bone density, and she had to go back home to like regenerate herself.
It's very similar to like when astronauts go into space. They spend extended time in space. They lose bone density
Yeah.
because they're not experiencing gravity.
Right.
So your body naturally, your bones get brittle and less dense. You know. Anyways, we tumbled way down the rabbit hole on that topic, but yeah, see, we do love sci-fi, but it still just doesn't take the forefront for some reason. I don't know why. I haven't solved
We can
that
talk
equation
about it.
yet.
We just don't play it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So I have a game I wanted to bring up. It's kind of new, not new. It's a mobile game. Those of you, I'll give you why Stormy always talks about mobile games and not console games. I have a nerve disorder. So with the joystick, I kill myself repeatedly over and over because I want to go straight, and I have a tick, and my character goes.
I don't mean to laugh at you, honey, but it's very true. It's woo, 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 woo.
How do you hold up on butt masher games? Like, fuck people up in Mortal Kombat?
yeah. Oh yeah. She can
make
fuck you
this
up in
work
Mortal
for me.
Kombat,
Fuck
dude.
it.
You're like, you know.
But like anything that requires the use of a joystick, I physically can't do. So, but I do a lot of mobile games. You can ask my husband. We'll be sitting down watching TV, and I can do both. I can play my video games and watch TV.
She does not do both. Because by the end of the episode, I hear, what happened?
Yeah.
Well, honey, if you didn't have 2 phones and a tablet in front of you playing the same game right now.
But anyway, there's this new one, or it's not new. It's been out for about a year. I want to give lots of props to. It's called War and Magic. And I actually found this game by accident. But what it is, it took all the great parts of the mobile Final Fantasy and mashed it into a Dungeons and Dragons theme. And I went about 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, I was really, really big into the Final Fantasy mobile game. And then it just got to be like, for me, I played it like every day for a year, all day. So kind of got old. So I switched to War
Why are
Dragons.
you looking at me?
Sorry.
But I found this one because I wanted to find another game that was Dungeons and Dragons related. And I found one which I'll talk about next. It just dive bombed. But anyways, but this game, it's not one of those pay to play or pay to excel. Now you can spend money on it, but you can progress in the game without spending money.
So you're not forced into microtransactions.
Exactly.
You can compete and like earn gold and buy things
Yep.
that way and successfully move through the game.
Yep.
See, that's very important to me in gaming. I hate it whenever you are where you get. That's why I hated that Dragons game you play so freaking much. It's like you get to a certain point where it's like upgrade building. Oh, it's going to take 87 hours. Fuck you, uninstall. You know what I mean? Like I'm not waiting 5 days for
But
this
see,
building
that's
upgrade.
when you wait for a build event. I told you, wait for a build event, and that's when you use all your speed ups.
That is entirely too much effort.
I spent $20 a month on that game.
I know. You had a separate notebook where she would keep track of people in her guild that were not doing wars, so she could, basically verbally fucking tell them, get off the fucking pot or I'm throwing you out. Like, she was the goddamn gatekeeper of that fucking game. It was insane, dude.
Yeah. But, I mean, and I did do some research on it. And there was, when this game first came out, it did get some negative reviews for the fact that when you first entered and you were a level 1 or 2, people that were much higher than you would attack you, and you couldn't, like, without no troops, you couldn't do anything.
Just stark naked.
Yeah, right. So what they did was they fixed it, and they gave all new players a 3-day bubble.
Right.
And I know Bob knows what a bubble is, but what that bubble does is that gives you 3 days to build up your troops, build up your farms, do what you need to do. Then when that bubble comes down, chances are they're not going to attack you unless they're like 12 levels higher than you. But the one world, like, it separates you into different kingdoms. And the one kingdom I'm in, I've traveled that freaking map, and I've not found anybody. Right now I'm a level 12. I haven't found anybody higher than like a level 20.
Okay, so they probably intelligently group people that are of similar levels together.
Yeah.
It's matching. You know what I mean? They use it a lot in online games to where they make sure that you're not in a situation where you're going to be with somebody who can just literally destroy you by sneezing on you, unless you're in Bob's tier, which is in this Final Fantasy game, which is insane. But
in the way that they work their guilds, it's you get like. If you help your guild, like you send food or gold or wood, whatever needed, they send you speed ups, they send you this, and it's just a gift for helping somebody out. It's not something you had to buy.
Right.
So, and the heroes, like right now I have 2 heroes. One is an archangel and the other one is a mage.
Oh, nice.
And my kingdom, of course, is a lady. I'm a girl. But, and it's awesome. I'm having so much fun with it. Like, I'm building right now, and we have this void center, I think it's called, and that's where you build like your skeleton army or your dwarven army or your elven army. And I was gonna do an elven army, and then I'm like, wait a second here. Bob always plays a dwarf. I'm gonna build this really kick-ass dwarf army.
Based solely on you slaughtering everything in our fucking games.
It's effective. It works.
It does, absolutely.
I played that game for 3 days and stopped. I'm like, oh, nope.
No? Why?
I don't know. Probably because I'm still partially hooked on Final Fantasy 15.
Right.
And I just don't have time.
Oh, I see. You're like, it's one of those situations where you looked at it and went, all right, if I keep going, I'm going to hit the point of no return, and this is going to fuck me out of like at least 8 hours of sleep a week. So,
but they absolutely gear them like that. Did you listen to Maynard from Tool on the Rogan podcast?
I did not. No.
So I always think he's above stuff like this, but he was talking about that, like, because they have a 5-year-old, and he's like, you see that, like, what these devices do. If I try to take your tablet away at dinner time, it's mayhem.
Right.
And he's like, and I know what that's like. He's like, I get involved in these free mobile games, like, it's free, you know? And you start playing it, and the next thing you know, you're like, all right, well, I'll spend $50. Well, God damn it, I spent like $500 on this fucking game, and I can't stop playing it. So I always felt like he's above that, but that's part of why, like, I'm not a gamer. And there is a huge facet of it that's like, when I do play, I lose my shit in it. Mm-hmm. And if there is a propensity to spend money, I tend to want to spend money. Or if it's just a console game, I lose, like, my creative output is nil. I don't think about anything else. Everything else suffers while I just fucking dive into a game, and I can't come out of it until I'm fucking done. And that's a problem.
I absolutely know that I have an addictive personality. I mean, World of Warcraft is one of the leading, was mentioned in my divorce.
That's some geek cred right there. You got your divorce badge. All right. Achievement unlocked.
Yeah, I was curious. So you say are you saying that it takes the idea of Final Fantasy, which I know the Final Fantasy mobile game is very much like troop building, home building, base building type stuff.
It is the exact same thing as Final Fantasy, except it is in a Dungeons and Dragons theme.
So when you say that, you mean like mages and like dwarves and elves.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, man. I mean, it's a smart move if you think about it, because I know the Final Fantasy game is popular as fuck. So like taking that and, for lack of a better term, cloning it and changing the theme around it is a pretty smart idea.
Yeah.
You know,
I've absolutely stopped spending money on Final Fantasy 15, though. I'm not going to go into how much money I have put into that now. It's more than $5.
well,
Let's put it that way.
let's just give you an idea. Bob, how many troops do you have?
I believe currently I'm up over 1 trillion.
Jesus.
What the serious fox, dude? Like 1 trillion. I have 1 trillion people that could come and kill you. You know, like,
And I could still be wiped out by half of the population that's on my server.
Jesus Christ, dude.
I think I'm top 5 or top 10 in my guild.
Right.
And that means there are 10 people that have more than that.
That's insane.
Just in my guild.
I know. Bob will say, what did you figure out that one time? We were sitting here at the house and he said that he figured out that, that was that one upgrade or something. You said you would have to sit there and push the button. But it was something to do with pushing the button to make it generate. You said it was going to take like something like 19,000 days or something like that for you to use all of the fucking things you had or something.
Yeah. At one point, I downloaded an auto clicker just because buying that much food to build that many troops was going to take me. I let it play. I think I let the auto clicker go 3 solid nights just to get enough to build the next level of troop that I was building.
God damn.
It's insane, dude. Like, it's insane.
Yeah.
And it was clicking every 4 seconds. It's
Yeah.
like 3 button clicks, click, 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 click. Just
Yeah, see, me, I don't get into mobile games. I just haven't. You know what I mean? I know she loves them, which is totally cool, but it's for me, I just, it's not a thing for me. I mean, and to be honest with you, I'm understanding where you're coming from on that, because, like, I've always been like a hardcore console gamer. Love console games. I love PC games too. But I've noticed, like, since we've been playing more Dungeons and Dragons, since we've been doing this podcast, since we've been doing this stuff, I spend a lot less time playing video games because of that exact reason. Because my head gets in there and then I don't want to leave it. And I'm like, oh, okay, I could be working on this cool thing we're working on for First Table Gaming, but instead I'm going to go put 4 hours into Days Gone because I need to get to that next part. You know what I mean? I find myself doing that. Like,
because games are drugs, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, and that's not to say they're not rewarding, but without some judicious, scheduling, it will fucking ruin your life. It can.
Right.
They
That
absolutely.
one guy, what was the name of that World of Warcraft that was like space games? There was like the Blizzard made like StarCraft.
It was StarCraft, yeah.
StarCraft is like, there's a dude that died playing it. Like, he was on some 48-hour fucking marathon and literally his heart. Yeah.
Holy shit. See,
Like-
that's a bit much.
Wow.
Right. But you know what I mean? If you're by yourself, you don't have a social life or anyone there around you to go, hey, man, let's go take a walk or let's fucking do something together. Yeah, you get the reward. You chase the fucking, around the corner and there's the cheese and you just keep going. And next thing you know, you're dead in front of a fucking laptop. That's your life.
Right.
I mean, the games do feed the pleasure centers. They increase the dopamine. They do that. And for somebody that doesn't have a life, yes, I just raised my hand. It's.
But you got a lot that pulls you out of it. You have a nurturing group of friends. You have children. You know what I mean?
You also run like 87 fucking
you
private
are a
organizations.
fucking scoutmaster. You have a various other activities that provide that for you. But without even that,
Oh yeah, I
that's
could
what
see
you
it.
got, man. Down you go.
I could definitely see how it can rope people in and just suck them in and take up all of their life. I could see how it can happen.
Oh, yeah. It does.
Look at Ready Player One.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
The entire civilization was based on the fact that if we just log into this game, we can do everything.
Yeah, exactly, 100%. Well, that's interesting. I might have to download it and just give it a try because you're telling me I don't have to spend money on it.
Nope.
So
I've not spent one dime on it, and I've played.
Has it got a bunch of weird those online fucking shit where I like, oh, I got a message, now I have to go do something in the middle of the day. So none of that fucking horse shit. Okay, good. That drove me nuts in Dragons. Like, oh, there's a war. Can you go help your guild member defend? I'm like, I don't have fucking time to do that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm driving my car, I'm working. Like, I don't have time to jump in there and do that.
We do have an alliance, but it's like the alliance is like you send food or you send coins.
Okay, yeah, trade things back and forth. Yeah, I've seen those. Well, awesome. Cool, man. Yeah. What do you got for us today, Curt?
Oh, man. Today, I wanted to talk a little bit about, and I noticed you said, I don't know what to look up with this. It is just something I wanted to talk about. I wrote an article on the site talking about the role play aspect of Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, and,
it's just an aspect of gameplay.
Right.
You know, and it's daunting for some people. And I feel like we kind of talked about it in our game sessions, but we really didn't sit down as a group and talk about that.
Right.
And I feel like it is vital. And you can get more out of that game if you drop into that mode. But it doesn't have to be all that daunting. I mean,
it's scary for me.
Yeah,
I'll tell you. Like, I love playing with you guys, and I was so upset last Friday. By the way, you can ask my husband.
I read that correctly, but that translated to real game experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like that added to the game.
Yeah,
immeasurably.
It's scary for me because I've never had an actor's type of personality. So, like, for me, it's hard enough for me to keep track of everything that's going on with all the alcoholic beverages we drink. Then I have to figure out how the fuck I'm going to act this shit out.
Well, I'm going to tell you, you say that it's not in you, you've just forgotten. Because it's the first thing that we all do. Mm-hmm. It's what we do as kids. You forget when you're playing dollies, when you're playing with your friends, you come up with imaginary characters that you talk to when even nobody's there. Everybody does it. You just forget that you can do it. Yeah. It's just play.
It is. I'm guilty of it too. I overthink it. Like, I try to think too hard about what Dorn would do instead of just saying, okay, I'm going to pretend to be Dorn and just act it however I want to. Like, there's a couple of sessions where, a perfect example, like, versus Dorn is, like, when I played the fucking Wild Mage. Like, that stuttering thing was just me slipping into that character and going, I'm going to do this. You know what I mean? Like, and that was just total improv. This is something he's going to have. And as I noticed, as I started doing that with him, though, I started shaping how I was going to play that character because of it. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay, he's got this stutter. What else about him? You know what? He's going to have a little bit of a twitch too. You know what I mean? He's going to have just a little twitch. You know what I mean? To go along with it, and that's all because of his body was not prepared for when he found his wild magic, and like so he has physical effects. And then I started thinking, well, we're at the bar drinking. Oh, okay. You know what? As he drinks, the twitches go away and the stutter goes away. You know what I mean? I'm like, so it just started, it was almost second nature how that just started to build. So
that's it too. It develops as you play with it.
I have noticed though that Tim is starting to bring it out on me a little more.
Yeah,
like he will not let me do certain actions unless I do it. And it's not saying anything bad about Tim. Tim is an awesome DM, and I'm finding it not to be as hard, but it's still not my cup of tea.
Yeah. The longer you play the character, the more the easier it'll become to slip into it. With maybe 5 minutes notice, I could completely act out a scene as Curt.
Yeah.
I mean.
Oh yeah, I could do Saber in a heartbeat. Like, I mean, it's just like that, like. But we also played those guys forever.
Yeah. They're effectively split personality.
Exactly. Exactly. But yeah, I did notice that with Tim, with you. He started to poke the bear a little bit with her, and like I think he's kind of figured out, like, okay, she's been playing long enough now that she knows how the game works. So now he's kind of trying to force her into that other position. Not force her, but kind of bring her out of her shell and go, okay, now have a little more fun with it, man. Be yourself. Because the beautiful thing about doing that at this game table or at any game table is people are not going to fucking judge you. You don't have to worry about sounding stupid. You don't have to worry about saying something dumb, because if something goofy does come out of your mouth or something, people are just going to laugh. You know what I mean? It's just going to be something that everybody remembers the next day.
100%, man. Yeah.
Like I saw there's a great great point about that, and a little bit off topic. I'm sorry, we'll get back to what you're saying in just a minute. But I was reading a tweet online, and this guy was, or no, it was a Facebook post actually, and this guy was talking about how he ran his first DM'd his first adventure the night before, and he was like, he's like, and unfortunately I TPK'd the entire party, and he was like, I made the mistake of just letting people do whatever they want, and the one guy kind of figured out a way to create like a frag grenade and like ended up just blowing everybody up and da, and he was like, and I TPK'd the entire party and I felt really bad about it, and he's like, and everybody fucking loved it. He was like, that everybody said it was fucking amazing, like they couldn't wait to come back the next week, build new characters and do it again. And he talked about how everybody was just laughing at the absurdity that was going on and in like how all of them were just so energized by that and were like, this was fucking amazing. It was such a great experience. And I think that, it's that is what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't matter if you sound good. It doesn't matter if you are good at acting. Curt is amazing at acting out those roles. I flip-flop. Yeah. Depending on the number of craft beers I've had, Dorn's very dark and brooding in the beginning. By the end of it, he's happy and hopping around with the halfling. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, it's the way it goes, but
like we said, you were as mad as Brenda should have been.
Yeah, absolutely. That was beautiful.
You were mad as Brenda should have been. And conversely, honest to God, I asked that next Monday, because we haven't talked since that game session.
Yeah, we took the week off, yeah.
But at the end of that session, Monday when I'm back to work, Tim was like, so what did you think at the end of that? Because I ended it because it seemed like you weren't having a good time. And I was like, that was real. Like, I wouldn't say that I wasn't having a good time, but I was so confused that I was actually pissed. And if that's intentional, you know what I mean? Like, then that's amazing. But if you didn't intend for that to happen, like, oh, well, that still happens in game 2. But that was a very real role-playing moment where the way that culminated in the fucking, pull the rug out from under you. Wait, what the fuck? Like, I kept trying to add it up in my head to where I was like, this doesn't make any sense. But maybe that's the point of it.
Well, outside, Tim said, remember when we were going through the Hall of Truth and the Hall of whatever?
The Hall of Lies.
Hall of Lies.
Yeah.
And we saw those blue people, and I told everybody to wait a minute. We need to figure out what those blue people are.
Yeah.
Tim was going, oh, shit. She's going to figure it out.
Yeah. And
that's when you guys are like, no, let's just go.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah, it's true.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, we do that all the time, man.
That happens.
Yeah, exactly, all the time, man.
But that's what I told him. Yeah. I was like, yeah, that is what makes this screwy, is that you basically have spent session after session after session convincing us that nothing is real.
Right.
So, and you've not pointed to what's real, what's not.
Yeah.
My notes might as well be a bunch of scribbles. So the one thing that I was like, okay, well, this part of it is concrete because everything points to this being concrete. That's not true either.
It's true.
Anticlimactic in a way where I'm like, all right, well, fuck it. I don't know.
It was true. Are you speaking to who Arun was?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was true, but it was done beautifully, like a plot twist cliffhanger in like Lost. It was like this whole time we thought we were fighting for this woman to free her and get you your other dagger, and come to find out we're the fucking bastions and bringers of the apocalypse. Whoops. You know what I mean? Like, it was a beautiful way to do it, I thought. He turned it around and was like, actually, she's the bad guy. She's been giving you guys false information and leading you down this path the whole fucking time. You know what I mean? So
I was like, no, so none of these messages came through from Prince of Fools. And he's like, no.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know, right?
Wouldn't I know that? No, I guess I don't know that. Well, fucking, yeah. So that emotion was very real. And
oh, yeah.
It managed to manifest itself at the precise moment in the game, and that blurs the line between we're just sitting around a table rolling dice and we are fucking doing something really incredible together.
Right.
We're creating something together, and that's awesome.
Like, well, when you think about it, we're creating a story. How many times have I told you guys we need to record this and turn it into a book? Especially with not taking away from your DMing abilities or your DMing abilities or anybody else's. But that
I know.
Would sell.
Tim's setting the gold standard right now, and I got to give him credit on that.
Here's the deal. We got together because of a certain DM that we were sure was what we would bring back to this table. I don't think anybody can count on the fact. I think I did have my doubts that was going to work out. Clearly, that's not going to be a thing. So that was kind of disappointing because I was like, we all were searching for that vicarious thrill. Yeah. Which is this guy provides that experience. So it's kind of a bummer. But then when Tim took over, I don't think I'd be blowing anybody's wig back by saying it. He's actually succeeded where we really thought that only our former DM could do.
Absolutely.
Like, Tim has gone above and beyond, raised the bar, and fucking set it very high for the rest of us to try to take over again.
I agree. 100%, man. He's killing it. He's knocking it out of the park, dude. It's absolutely amazing, and I thought it was great because I do agree with the fact that that's how angry Brenda should have got. Yeah. Like, Brenda was so pissed off because she hates that Taleon character so goddamn much, and like then he runs up and fucking kills Bells, and she's like, motherfucker, and just starts kicking the shit out of him, dude. Totally makes sense. And fucking
you guys are trying to fucking
Aiden got so angry because he's like, let's go fight the dragon. And
no, you're at the dragon. Yeah, you're at the dragon.
No, he runs up and fights the dragon, and everybody turned and jumped on fucking Taleon.
Well, you were there.
It's like in the grand
you were there and I pitched in, but from behind a rock where I'm like, oh yeah, dragon.
In the
Two
grand scheme
guys,
of things, dragon in the room versus dumbass. Dragon is the threat.
Right, exactly.
If somebody's not keeping him busy or trying to kill him, he's going to eat all of us.
Okay, here's what I figured. I thought it was Taleon. Taleon had no more hit points than Larissa. Yeah. So if I hit it really good once, I would have killed the motherfucker. I had no idea that Tim turned Taleon into this god creature.
Well, then on top of it, too, if you really think about it, though, like if you break this down, yes, I agree with you. The dragon was the biggest threat in the room, which I turned and focused on the dragon. You went after the dragon. Jonas went after the dragon. I think even you started firing at the dragon.
Well, I did indeed, but I was sure that in my head, the dragon wasn't real, and that Malhavoc is the threat.
Right.
But you know what I mean?
But if you think about Brenda from the nature of her character, a barbarian who goes into a rage, it doesn't matter if the dragon's in the room because her anger is focused on that. Right. And that's what she's going to go hit over and over again until it's dead.
If you take into account what Taleon did, he burned down a bar, cut off a person's hand. Now, when we walked through that city, what was going on? Right. The city was burning up.
Yeah. And he fucked us in the ass in that fucking portal thing, too. Yeah. Remember you splattered the brains over
Absolutely.
And fucking he got pissed off and ran in there and spun the wheel and fucked up all the doors and brought a dragon out. And we're like, fuck. Now we have to pick one and run through it. We had no time to stop and rest. Absolutely. So I get the anger there, but yeah, we went a little off topic there. But I think you were talking about improv, though.
It's still on topic, man. That's what I'm talking about.
Exactly.
We're doing it.
Yeah, I know. And as far as improv goes, though, I even find it difficult. I do. There are times whenever I find it hard to act, and I think my head gets in the way. And it's hard for me to get into. I need to learn again to get back into that space of stop thinking about it and just go with your gut.
I got a really awesome idea for my next character that I was even playing with accents. This is
nice.
Because I've never played a Dragonborn before.
Right.
And so I come up with this Dragonborn rogue. Because in 5th edition, I think this is fucking awesome. You can make a strength-based rogue.
Yeah.
That won't suck. As long as you're wielding a finesse weapon, you don't have to apply your dex bonus to it.
Yeah.
So you can go full strength with this and still get your sneak damage. As long as you have advantage, you can apply your sneak damage. So I pictured this Dragonborn rogue who has a black dragon ancestry. So fuck the lockpick. If I just squirt acid on it, it's gonna fucking melt.
Oh, nice.
And a scimitar is a finesse weapon.
Right.
And so this accent started to come out. I picture him having kind of a Russian accent. His name is Razgorazia. I want to play this fucking character so bad.
I want you to play this character so fucking bad, dude.
Right?
That's awesome.
I thought, okay, here's where this gets really good. Okay, he's 7 foot tall, 360 pounds. he does have ranks in stealth, but that's like provided he's already created a situation where he's in the shadows or whatever. He's not fucking sneaky.
Yeah, right.
But with strength, because I went this standard array, I didn't go fucking bananas, but I really wanted to because I was like, I wanted this guy to be fucking strong as shit. So he's got strength of 16, which is pretty good. So as long as you have advantage on the attack, you get the sneak damage. And I thought, this is really funny because I can just go in, you make an opposed strength check, you can knock him prone.
Yeah, right.
So that's his strategy.
He just
like, I'm
pushes him down,
sneak up on
sneak attack.
Like, I'm rogue.
That's fucking fantastic, dude.
So by 5th level, I feel like I got enough ranks in Rogue. I'm going to go straight Barbarian from there on in.
Nice.
So just like a fucking savage. I can't wait to play this character.
Nice.
It reminds me of the infamous, the half orc fucking the half orc rogue, the thing that was on I think you posted on Facebook where the guy's like, I created a half orc rogue and I took all of my points and put it into fucking intimidation. So it's like I just walk around going, you don't see me. And everybody's like, no, I don't fucking see you. I don't fucking see you. Awesomeness, man. Nice. Awesome.
We definitely have a spot for that character in the Dungeon of the Mad Mage.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Dude, bring him. Yes, please. Bring him to my stuttering wild mage, please. Oh my God. I can just imagine that,
man. Yeah,
that'll be fun.
But that's just it at the character creation stage. Because like I said, I create characters all the time, and some part of that is, man, there's some of it I just can't get into.
Right.
I want to play this character, but it's all on paper. If I can't get behind it in my head, I'll never play it for that reason. But this guy, right from the inception, I already started to develop how I would play it and what he would look like, and you know what I mean, how he would sound.
Right. I mean, it's a great point. Like when I built Dorn, I went at it like, okay, I haven't ever built anything in 5th edition, so I'm going to learn how to do this. And I sat down and like, okay, I want to build a DPS character. Ranger seems to be the way to go. I want to be a little bit sneaky, so I'll go Gloomstalker. And like, that's kind of how I constructed him. But when I built my fucking wild mage, like I had a story in my head about this guy who is a prodigal brewer. His father's a brewer. He was his son. He's really adept at brewing beer. And like they're in the town, and the town's lord shows up to claim, like, to ask for taxes more than they should be, and his father stands up to him and he strikes his father down. So fucking my character loses his shit and thunderclaps and knocks all of the lord's men down, including the lord off his horse. And then he runs, and like as a result, I'm a folk hero because my townspeople are like, woohoo! But I'm also a wild mage, and now the lord of my town is trying to kill me, so I have to hide fucking everywhere. You know what I mean? So there's this character who's a stuttering fucking beer brewer. You know what I mean? But I built all that in my head before I rolled a fucking single die. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like getting into that character was a lot easier for me because I had him up here first. You know?
There you go.
Oh, that was awesome. It was a good subject, man. That was a great subject.
Thank you.
What do you got for us today, Bob?
You had something about why George R.R. Martin needs to finish his series.
Yes. So obviously George R.R. Martin is the person who wrote. The name of the series is A Song of Fire and Ice. It's not a Game of Thrones.
Yes.
Game of Thrones is just a book in that series.
It's also a very popular line in the book, right? And that one.
The Game of the Thrones.
Yes. Yeah.
Varys says it, doesn't he?
I thought it was Cersei.
Cersei says it. Varys sells it. So, yeah. But anyway, he needs to finish the fucking book series. I was trying to think of another way to say that. It just needs to happen. We've seen the whatever that was that came out of this season 8. Not exactly thrilled with that, but it is.
It's the Ang Lee's Hulk and Highlander 2 of the fucking TV series, man. That's why I love
Ang Lee's Hulk.
It is what it is. It's done. It's that was the vision, and I'm really hoping that George saw the amount of hate mail that everybody got for that, and went, maybe I'll go a different direction.
Right.
That's the deep-seated hope. I'm really hoping that he didn't go, hey, look, Jon kills Dany and the dragon flies off. He goes, and you fill in the rest of it.
Right.
I'm like, because if he did, that's going to be bad. It already was bad. And please fix it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I know, exactly. How long have you guys been waiting on the new book?
Well, it's 15 years, isn't it? How long is it?
The first book came out in the 90s.
Right.
I mean, A Song of Fire and Ice came out forever. But yeah, Hold, please. Somebody fill in other speaking here while I Google.
I know it's longer than the new Tool album has.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, have you read the Song of Fire and Ice series?
Yeah,
I have not.
No.
I read the first two books.
You don't have to. I'll be the first one to say it. You can enjoy them.
Yeah.
You can also enjoy the show. I think the show, the last season, aside, and last actually couple seasons, it did its own thing.
Yeah, it's
but
very
they're
different.
very, very close, man. Like what they changed, I was pretty happy with. I'm okay with those changes. But towards the last couple of seasons, they were way out of paper, man. There's none of this shit happened. So
So the original Game of Thrones is book 1, came out in 1996. Then there was one in 98, 2000, 2005. Do you notice there's a bigger gap there? 2006, 2005, 2011, and now we're waiting on The Winds of Winter, and that's still not the last book in the series.
So it's been
there's
8.
two
So wait,
more.
it's been 8 years since his last book came out.
Yeah.
No, he's put out other books. He just hasn't finished.
Well, I mean,
this.
the last book in this series.
yeah.
Since the last book of this series came out, it's been 8 years.
Yes.
You know, I almost wonder if he didn't wait this long to wait for the TV show to end.
Well, the TV show started and ended in the amount of time since he wrote the last book.
But isn't he an executive producer on the show, though? Does he have any creative control on the show?
So, yes.
Let me tell you
He's
something.
okay with all of the things that they did do.
I don't think he has creative control. Let me tell you what an exec producer credit means. I went to film school. An exec producer credit is the thing you throw your family to make them happy. Like, oh, you were here for the day. We're going to make you an executive producer on the film. That's what that means. Executive producer doesn't mean shit. It literally is something they throw to people to make them happy. Like, the executive producers don't do anything.
Unless you have a director after your name. You really don't.
Director or producer. Like, full-on producer usually make decisions about budget and usually make decisions about direction, and then they work with the directors and the writers to make that happen. But exec producer, it's I hate to say it, but it's a bullshit title. You know what I mean?
It's a go-between between the studio and the film itself.
It's a way to make somebody feel, you know, like if you let's say you are making an independent film and you bring in a big name actor who comes and chooses to do your indie film for very little money. You kick him an exec producer credit because he can claim that on his record and be like, I was an executive producer on this film, even though he really didn't do anything.
Right.
Well, he came in and acted. You know what I mean?
Kevin Smith always, Scott Mosier, isn't that his producer?
Scott
But
Mosier.
that's the way he described it was, I tell Scott what we're going to do. He goes to the studio, finds out how much money they're going to give us.
Yeah.
I love that story about Chasing Amy where he came back to me after Mallrats flopped and he's like, okay, how much do we get? And he's like, 50. What, shit, they give me 50 million? No, they gave us $50,000.
Right, yeah. But yeah, that is a relationship between producer and director. But like I say, that exec credit is thrown. You know, like if you look, every major TV show that has a long running cast member suddenly becomes an executive producer. You know what I mean? Like it's a title. You get to stick it on your resume. It makes you look like I have been doing this a while, kind of thing. You know what I mean? But it's not. If he's an exec producer on it, I guarantee you he had nothing to do with creativity. But I'm almost wondering, like you say, it's been 8 years since he released the last book. In that series, and the TV show was 8 years long. Was he waiting for the end of the TV show?
I do believe so, but he wrote a couple of books inside that world since then. But the last book, A Dance with Dragons.
I think, Dance with Dragons.
Yeah, Dance with Dragons. Was almost completely done when the series started. So I was just waiting on it to be produced or published.
Yeah.
Published. And he hasn't written anything since.
Right.
For, like, finish the fucking series.
Right, exactly.
Now, do not... So, I'm the book nerd in the group. In case you haven't figured that out yet, that's me. I picked up the first 6 books of the Robert Jordan A Wheel of Time series. And I'm one of those people that if a series has come out, I want to pick it all up, and then I'm going to devour it.
Mm-hmm.
So it came out, and I went up to the bookstore, and I believe it was Barnes & Noble. I said, is this all of the books? I had 6 of them in my hand. And the guy behind the kid behind the counter said, that's all of them. He didn't tell me that there were 7 more coming. I wanted to hurt the young man when I got to book 6 and went, what the fuck? And then I waited and waited and waited, and then the next 7 books came out. Well, the next 5 books came out by that author. Then he died.
Oh, no.
And somebody else, with his notes, finished the last 2 books. I do not want that to happen to A Song of Fire and Ice. George, finish the book. Just finish the book. I don't care if you're jerking off on top of the Empire State Building. Put your dick down. Finish the book.
George, I think he's serious. You know what, dude? I love reading. I love to read, but I cannot seem to find the time to fit it into my life.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I'm also a huge fan because at some point in time in my life, I'm going to write a Netflix series or a movie. That's going to happen. And it's like, so I try to stay very current on what we see on television shows. So we do spend a lot of time watching series and that kind of stuff because I'm trying to learn more and more about how they're constructed, but I can't figure out how to fit more reading into my life because at some point in time I want to write some books too, and it's like between the podcast and the business and my work and everything else, I don't know how you do it because you do like 85 more things a week than I do. So I have no idea how you fit in time to read a book and all of that.
I don't sleep.
No, see,
I sleep on your couch when we're trying to watch a TV show. That little nap, that's pretty much it.
That's where my books rest, is at my bedside.
Yeah.
So I'm 2 pages in and I wake up with it on my chest. That's
Right.
how reading works in my world. But I wanted to touch too, like, here's why George R. R. Martin is a dickhole. And this Game of Thrones spoilers, so if you haven't watched the TV show, fuck you, watch the show, man. The end of book 3 is a part where Tyrion pops out, see his dad banging the love of his life and fucking kills him.
Yeah.
And he disappears. So you get to the next book. Book 4. Big fucking book, right? The 800-900 pages.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fucking big book. And everybody's favorite character is Tyrion. I won't hear you. If you say any other character, you can go fuck yourself. Everybody's favorite character is Tyrion. And so you get this book and you're like, fuck happened? Where did he go?
He's not
The first chapter, it's Sansa, and she's sad again. Oh, god damn. Okay, well, we go to Arya. That was kind of fun. Oh, yeah. Back to fucking Jaime. Okay, yeah, I'm beginning to actually like this guy. And I thought he was a fucking dickhole, but I like him now. You know, next chapter, it's going to be Tyrion. I know, turn the page. No, Tyrion. He's not in the fucking book at all. He's not in the fucking book because 4 and 5 happen all at once.
Oh, wow.
It's too big for him to put in one book, so he made him 2 books and then threw Tyrion clear over any other books. So you don't know. You keep turning the fucking pages. Nothing. I mean fucking nothing. So I appreciate the TV show so much more because they're like, nah, here's what happened. Check it out.
Yeah,
He's in
right.
a box.
He's
Blam.
in a box, yeah. Fucking no shit,
Well,
man.
And you figure book 4 came out in 2005, book 5 came out in 2011. So you
Yeah.
waited 11 years to find out what happened while his dad was banging the maid.
Not only that, too, the TV show, the whole time you're like, wow, Daenerys' story is awesome. This is a fucking cool story. Can we go back to Daenerys? That's not how the book works. There's huge long stretches of that book where you're like, I fucking hate this character and this story. Fuck her. I hope she trips and breaks her neck. Like, I can't take another chapter of this. It's fucking boring as shit. It really is.
The TV show made her a much, much more well-rounded character because she in the book series, it's not until book 5 that she really becomes interesting.
Like the breaker of chains.
Yeah,
you
and
know?
Sansa never becomes interesting in the
Nope.
series.
Sansa sucks. It's hard chapters when you're trying to slog your way through that.
Sophie Turner did amazing things with that character.
Absolutely.
None of it's in the book. None of it.
Right. So, yeah, you were trying to say something.
Now, we used to, big keyword, used to go to bed like an hour before we wanted to go to sleep, and we would read for that hour. We wouldn't turn on the TV. And then I found this really cool series called Harley Merlin, which is supposed to be a lot like Harry Potter. But more down the Merlin kind of sick and twisted line. And I'm about 150 pages in 6 months ago.
It's true. We did used to make that time. Like every night we would go to bed and like normally about, we fall asleep around 10, 11 and we would go to bed about 9 and sit up in bed and read. We're both going to read for an hour and then we'll turn on the TV to go to sleep. And then that just started disappearing whenever we podcast till 7:30 and then eat dinner at 8:30 and you know what I mean, and it's like fucking I'm working when we go to the gym, we get back home at 7:30 and we shower and eat, it's like 9 o'clock. Like I just wish I could find more time to read.
And then Bob comes over and goes, "Hey, let's create a game."
Exactly. Hey, let's work on this.
Because I don't have enough stuff going on. Let's add more.
Exactly, man. I gotta find more time to read. That's the moral of the story, kids. Find more time to read.
Absolutely.
Right on. Yeah. All right. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's move on. Here, I got another subject I want to talk about. I guess we'll talk a little bit about the PS5. Now, I don't even know if we should talk about this because I think I'm the only big console gamer in the room. Like, I know.
No, man, but tell us all about it. Like, why are you excited?
Well,
or are you excited?
I don't know yet because I don't have enough information. I mean, there's a lot of information out there about it, and it's another upgrade, which is cool. You know, they upgrade them every time. One thing that does make me very excited about this one, though, is, and you have this mentioned in here, is that the SSD storage, because solid state drives, which is that's what that stands for, instead of it being a magnetic tape drive, it's a solid state drive, so it's like a solid object. I don't know the mechanics or behind all that or how it works, but it increases the access speed like you wouldn't believe. So like we're going to see when I'm playing games like Days Gone and shit like that, you're going to see considerably slower or faster load times.
Actually,
so it's like
I can build on that. I did find where they were doing a thing for their investors back in May. They took the PS4 and put the Insomniac Spider-Man into the PS4 Pro. It took 15 seconds for it to load. Mm-hmm. They put the same game in a model of what they're calling it the next gen console. They said they haven't named it yet. It took 1 second.
See, that's insane. Think about that. I mean, that's 15 times faster if you think about it.
Jesus.
Yeah, and I mean, I think what we're going to see as a result of that is we're going to see bigger, more immersive worlds. Like if anybody saw like trailers for Cyberpunk 2077, which I am just drooling to get my hands on, like. Their intention, I know that their intention on that game on the PC is going to be make it to where like you can move from place to place in that game and not deal with like anybody who's ever played an open world game like Grand Theft Auto or Spider-Man, when you're swinging through the city, the stuff in the background is kind of blurred out, and then as you get closer to it, it kind of unpixelates. Well, apparently their goal is to make it to where it never pixelates. It always looks like it should look completely 100% rendered. And I think I was really worried about how Cyberpunk was going to be on the PlayStation, on the new console, because of that reason, because I know their goal is to make basically a never-ending, never-loading world is what they're shooting for. And with these advances coming to this next console, I can see that happening. Like, I don't know if it'll be as good as a PC because you're never going to be as good as a PC. You're just never going to. There's no way they can match it. I mean, these things have got tons of processors and everything else in it, but it's just not a computer. You know what I mean? It's not a tower built for gaming with fucking overclocked processors and all that insane shit that makes them go nuts. But I think that we're going to see the quality of gameplay and the interactability of gameplay go up considerably on these things because of that solid state drive. Now, I noticed in here it says that I'm not going to go into all the geeky stuff about like it being an AMD chip, and because of the fact that I don't even know what the fuck that means. Like, I'm a software developer, I look at that, I'm like, that's fucking Greek to me.
You asked me for facts, I give you facts.
But I did say it does have 8 cores, which is cool because that means that's just the number of processors. So you're going to have 8. It's like having 8 little tiny processing things doing what it should be doing, which is cool. But one thing I don't understand, so they're going to support 4K visuals at 120 hertz, which is cool because a 120 hertz monitor, like that's what hardcore gamers use because you deal with like the frame rates are insane on it, and it's basically like so butter smooth when you're playing. But they're going to support 8K resolution. What the fuck? Like, I don't know a single person on the planet other than people that have way too much money and want to just have the newest thing that will ever buy an 8K TV. Like, it's insane. Like, you have no use for it. Like, I don't want to see the bacteria growing on the inside of somebody's pores. You know what I mean? Like,
no.
It's so far beyond what your retina can see. Like, an 8K television makes no sense. An 8K monitor, I get it. For people doing like high-end CG and graphic design, like computer graphics, doing CGI for movies, building things like the Avatar or like Battle Angel Alita. I could see them wanting an 8K monitor because the resolution on that to get every little dot of shadow perfect makes sense. But when I'm sitting at home drinking a Coors Light, watching fucking the Browns play, I don't need to see how many fucking whiskers are on Baker Mayfield's face that he forgot to shave. Like, I don't know why.
And everything goes back right to here. And I think where I'm headed with this. Nobody needs to see porn in that kind of
exactly.
Holy shit.
Yeah, exactly, dude. Razor burn, like,
right.
Oh.
Look at that genital wart. That's a whole thing. Fucking.
You can see like the root structure coming off of that thing.
Yeah.
Like.
I was waiting for it.
Porn made an appearance.
If it didn't come up, I was going to throw it in at the end.
Of course. But no, my point is that you could spend more money on maybe putting money into the system to make it have a bigger solid state drive, to maybe give it a faster processor speed, maybe update the controller a little bit, do something else instead of making it support 8K resolution. That annoys me.
I did read that not only are the games going to be backwards compatible, so is the controller, so you don't have to go buy new controllers.
Oh, so I'll be able to use my PS4 controller with it.
You don't have to buy the new, what are they called?
The VR headset.
VR headsets. They are going to make those, everything is backwards compatible. Yeah. What they don't want to do is a lot of complaints, and I guess a lot of the things that I've read was complaining that when you buy a whole new system, you spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on this stuff and you can't use it.
Yeah, exactly. So, you have hundreds of games and controllers and headsets and shit like that you can't use with the new one. And another thing I really like about Sony on that same vein that you put in here was that they're the only one of the new systems out of Nintendo, Xbox, the new Google Stadia that's coming out, and fucking all the consoles. As far as I know, with their next gen, they're the only one keeping the disc drive.
Yep.
Everybody else is getting rid of it in favor of full 100% stream content. So all your games that you buy, you download to your hard drive and play from there. They're keeping that open because they're basically saying you will be able to play PlayStation 1 games. You could go buy a PlayStation 1 game at a fucking flea market, stick it in this thing, and it'll play.
That's something that
there is one thing on there that you're kind of skipping. That the DVD player. Game player will only play a Blu-ray disc, so the game has to be on Blu-ray disc form.
Right, because I was reading online the other day that they will support PlayStation 1 games, so maybe they're supporting them for being downloaded then instead of through the game. But either way, I think it's smart.
Yeah,
I think it's smart.
What I think they're going to do is re-release the PS1 games in Blu-ray disc form.
In Blu-ray disc form, right. Yeah, you'll be able to get like a collection of them.
Yeah.
That would make sense. What I like about that though is, see, when it comes to games for me, I like buying my PlayStation games. I go to the store, I pre-order a copy of Days Gone. And I'm going to play that. I'm going to play it for a while. And when I'm done with it, I take it back and I trade it in and get some more value out of it to buy the next game. Whenever I have to download everything, I no longer get that trade-in value. And on top of it, it's like with books for me. Like, when we moved up here, I was like, I'm going to start reading more. And I was like, you know what? Instead of buying books like I've always done, I'll buy a tablet and use the tablet. Guess what? I don't use the fucking tablet because to me, it's not the same as holding a fucking book in my hand.
Yeah.
And you know what? For me, playing that game, downloading it, sure, but I like having that disc. I like having that disc and putting it in. And there's just something for me, I don't know if it's nostalgic or what it is, that just makes that feel like a better experience for me.
Well, I had a fucking old man moment at a GameStop last Christmas because, well, it wasn't Christmas. I think it was, they released it to November or October, whenever. But I knew that was high on Cheryl's list. My wife wanted the new Fallout game.
Oh, right, yeah.
And so I was like, ooh. And my friend who was going to give me the inside track and let him use fucking come and get me GameStop. Gonna let me use their membership card to get like bonuses or whatever or something.
Yeah.
And she was like, yeah, you buy this game, you get so many extras. And I was like, fuck yeah, cool. $80 for a video game.
Right.
All right. Well, there's my first old man moment where I was like, God damn, that bites into my Christmas. Like, how is this fucking game? All right, whatever. So it comes with all kinds of extras, so kick ass. So I get there, it's release day, like, yeah, fucking give me the game. And they're like, okay, here you go. And I look at this, and I was like, oh, doesn't this come with extras? It came, Yeah, they're all in the game. What are you talking about?
They're
It's like there's
downloadable.
codes that are in the game. Mean there ain't a poster, a button, a fucking font, a butt plug. You ain't be kidding me? $80 fucking and it's all virtual horse shit. Like there's nothing extra. I'm in the store just yelling at this simply punk. It's like, sir, I'm sorry, but that's what it is. I was like, yeah, I guess I'm old because that ain't shit to me. Like,
yeah, no, I get it, man.
You're not only did we have to buy your Zero Dawn once, we had to buy it twice because an expansion came out.
Yeah, well, I bought it. So, yeah,
they're expensive. Like he goes and he pre-orders it, so he saves a little bit.
Yeah. Plus, I'm a pro member, so like I get discounts on pre-ordering.
So $80 isn't unusual.
Well, no, that's high. No, that's high.
Right,
I paid 55 or 60 for Days Gone. You know what I mean?
They really
Days
started
Gone
to chat
was
my
once.
ass too in the weeks coming up to that, where everybody had already played it.
Yeah.
And I told Cheryl, I was like, I'm not gonna ruin your Christmas present by telling you that I got you this game, but you know, it's a shit game. People are fucking crying to the moon and back. So if you want me to, I can take it back and get you other stuff. And she just trusted that they knew what they were doing, and she genuinely loves that game.
Right, yeah.
That's awesome.
Immediately, people were shitting on it, and it really did piss me off. Because it was like $80 fucking for a piece of shit game. Fuck them.
You know what? The same thing happened with Days Gone, man. People attacked that game, and I'm like, no. I'm like, I've seen so much about this game. I know it's going to be good. And when I got it, it was glitchy. It was a little creepy. It had problems. You know, there was times when the motorcycle would just shut off. It wouldn't. I'd be riding it, but there'd be no sound. There was times whenever I'd have somebody in front of me and I'm trying to hit them, and they would just bounce up and down next to me, and it was glitchy. It's a big fucking game. But by they release whatever they are on now, it's fucking solid, dude. Like it's a solid game, And I think people don't give people enough fucking chance on that shit, man. Like the internet will hunt you down and murder you if you're not perfect right out the fucking gate. Yeah. And it's like, give these guys a chance, man. Like there's going to be bugs. I know that from developing software. There's going to be bugs in the code, dude. You got to give people a chance to update some shit, Like it's a little ridiculous.
That's why, like, technology wise, I won't buy anything first gen. Mm-hmm. Never. Not a phone, not a laptop, not a TV, nothing. Because when you buy the first gen, you have to expect bugs. Mm-hmm. And bugs, by what I mean, my husband's a computer, so you have to expect problems, glitches in the software. So
or the hardware. So I will wait for second gen to come out. Yeah. I usually wait for third.
Yeah.
I usually give them 3. By the third generation, they've got it figured out. Like we didn't buy iPhones. The last company I worked for, we didn't buy iPhones until iPhone 3 came out. Because we're going to give them a couple to get it right. Because we know there's going to be all kinds of fucking problems in these first 2. Like,
was there?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's a smart maneuver. You know what I mean? Because it does take time to get the technology figured out and to make sure that these things, the brand new screens, the brand new chips, the brand new cameras, make sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. So waiting a couple generations is a great idea on that.
There's always a ghost in the machine.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There are gremlins like you wouldn't fucking believe, dude. I've ran into that shit constantly, man. It's insane. I was sitting there and I'm like, I fucking this thing, what the hell happened? Like, I was infamous in my old company for saying it was just working. Because, it never failed, dude. I would sit there and go through it 20, 30, 40 times and fucking it's working perfectly. She's sitting next to me. I'm like, yeah, it's all working great, right? I get this demo with the client. All right, cool. Demo with the client. Whole fucking thing crashes. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, every time, dude. It's insane. But,
so Curtis is going to set the mood for us. Tell us about D&D music.
I just wanted to touch on this. This doesn't have to be a long form thing, but we do at our game sessions, man. We always if it's quiet for 10 minutes, somebody will go, dude, fucking music.
Yeah.
And we pump up the music in here. But I noticed a lot of people don't have that going on in their game. So I just wondered what you guys thought. Do you like having that? Is that important to you? Because
I love it.
Yeah.
I do.
Absolutely.
And let me tell you why. Because my brain, no joke, goes 5,000 miles a minute. So he always picks at me about having 2 phones and a tablet in front of me playing a game while I'm watching TV, or I'll crochet while watching TV, or I'll listen to music while I'm working. The reason is I need my brain to be able to focus on something so that I can put together in my brain, not go bing, 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 bing.
I'm at home in the chaos.
Yeah.
I'm the same way. Yeah.
So for me, it's awesome.
Right.
Right on. What are your thoughts, Bob?
Well, for me, I mean, every time we started gaming, what was playing in the background?
Music. If I remember what
Queen's greatest
hits. That's right. That's what we always did. It was Queen. It was a lot of Danzig too. We listened to a lot of Danzig.
Oh, Danzig's Black Aria.
Yeah.
You freak yourself out in the swamps of Shri in the middle of the night. That album will do it.
It works.
But still to this day, Queen comes on and I'm like going, it'll bring me back to a memory of us sitting around that table.
Yeah, very true, man, very true. It's like, for me, it's necessary. Like, for me, you have to have a little bit of background noise going on, because I think that, just like, have you ever been to a house party where there was no music playing? It sucks.
The fucking pits, man.
It's fucking terrible. Music fosters people to relax. There's something about when music's playing that you just start to feel at ease. There's a reason why bars put fucking jukeboxes in them. You know what I mean? Like, it does relax people. And I was a DJ for a long time. I mean, albeit at strip clubs, but I was still a DJ. And the fact of the matter is you can, like, I learned the psychology of how to, at one point in time during my tenure at the Scoreboard Lounge in Sarasota, Florida, I had figured out how to raise the energy in the room to a point to where I would get everybody tipping like crazy and get it to the point where shit was about to break out of control, and then drop it and watch them all go back to the bar and buy a drink. And literally could start to control them like cattle, going back and forth between the stage to tip the girls and back to the bar to drink. And it was all about the music you played. You know, it was all about, like, ramping them up and just getting them up, all screaming and hooting and hollering, and then you bring it down with a nice slow
that's
song.
it too. That you always choose a streaming channel for us to listen to. And so when it works, like, I love that moment where, like, we're in something fucking heated, and that song comes on, and we both look at each other like, "Oh, this is fucking
exactly."
You know what I mean? Or he's trying to set the scene, and it's fucking scary, and it does. Something eerie comes out of those speakers. Is fucking great. Actually, even a good example today. You experienced something. It's one of my favorite things. The most therapeutic thing is this Barbershop Therapy.
Oh man!
And that dude kicks out that fucking mix of old school blues songs. And that's immediately when I walked in the first time. I was like, oh, okay, I'm at home here.
Yeah, I felt the same way, man. And, like, shout out to Helms Barbershop, Helms old what's it called?
Barbershop.
Old school barbershop here in Worcester, man. Like, I haven't been to somebody to cut my hair in probably 15 years. Ever since I started going bald, I just cut it myself. And I've been growing a beard lately. My beard has started to get way out of control. So I asked Curt, I'm like, how do you deal with that? And he said, go to Helms. So I went down there and we walk in, and first off, it's just a nice, inviting experience. And what I loved was this skinny little tattoo dude sitting in Max's chair, just like talking. It was like everybody was just bullshitting with each other. I'm like, oh, wait a minute.
It reminds you of Barbershop.
Yeah. I was like, I can kind of get behind this. You know what I mean? So I sat down. We all started talking comics and, like, all this weird shit. And then, like, the music going on in the background. And, like, dude, that guy treated me well, dude. Like, I don't think, I'm used to, you go to a salon, they're like, oh, I'm going to rush you here, and it's $35. See you. And that wasn't what happened, man. That motherfucker, he went to work on me. He needed a bandolier of clippers. Like, that guy was pulling different size clippers out and trimming me here and doing my eyebrows and, like, shaping shit. And, like,
might shock you to learn too, Max is maybe a year and a half outside of barber school.
No shit.
Are you serious?
Like, I'm sat in his chair. Everybody in there, I'm very comfortable with whoever it is, whoever you pick. So I always go up when I sign in, and it's like, do you have a preference? I'm like, we cool.
Yeah, right.
Because I know whoever chair I sit in, they know what they're doing.
Yeah, right. I didn't pick anybody, and I got Max, and he was awesome, dude. We had a great time, talked to the whole time, you know what I mean? And I'll tell you what, man, like, whatever clippers he used to cut my hair down like this impresses me, because I wanted to go for that straight razor look, and he did it without putting a straight razor to my head. And then that best part, dude, after he straight razors the back of your neck and the hot towel. He got the hot towel on the back of the neck and on top of my head. I was just like, oh, this is fucking great, dude. But no, it was a magical experience
too. Like, you go to big cities and shit, you're gonna pay $50 for that same trip.
Yeah, exactly.
We paid $20.
I paid $20 for the tip, dude, and I kicked him a nice tip. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's. But I do agree with you. Like, the mood they set in there, as soon as I walked through the door, I was like, I could see myself coming here once every 3 weeks, chilling with everybody, bullshitting, getting my hair cut and my beard trimmed, and fucking, you know what I mean? It's just, it will become part of my regular routine.
Like, one of the first times that I was in there, some guy was like, you know, Ryan, it would be cool if you had a TV up there and we could watch the game. And Ryan's like, that'll never happen. If I put a TV up there, you guys shut up and you start watching TV.
Exactly.
I'm here to create a relaxed atmosphere where everybody feels comfortable talking to one another, and I've done that.
Yeah.
And I was like, exactly.
Yeah,
That's
dude.
what I want to be a part of.
That was 100% what it was, man. It was really cool. I'd suggest anybody, any guys out there, man, you want to go for an old school barber feel and get a great fucking cut and a great thing, go. If you live in Worcester, go down and check out Helms, man. It's fucking worth it, dude.
That kind of reminds me of the old school. Shreve has had a barber since
Well, before I was born.
Before I was, I mean, it's, and you walk in there and there's, 4 chairs and maybe 6 spots to set.
Right.
And that was it. You had the music going in the background, the sound of the clippers, and whatever the old guys in the corner was talking about.
Yeah.
That was it.
Learned a lot.
Yeah, exactly, man. We talked about comics today. We talked about comic book movies. I mean, it was just all kinds of shit came out, man. It was great, man. It was, but I agree with you though. That's very much to that mood setting, how you can set the mood. And for us, I think collectively as a group, music does the trick. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of us come from musical backgrounds. All of us love music. You know what I mean? And several of us have been in bands and whatnot in the past. So it's like, that just laying that groundwork just kind of. I noticed when we're sitting here. Well, I noticed when we're sitting in here at the table and there's no music on. Everybody's very stiff and nobody's talking. And then I say the magic words to our little friend in the corner, and she starts playing shit, and all of a sudden everybody's gabbing like crazy, and we're off to the races. You know what I mean? Like, so.
We'll have to try Queen next time.
Yeah, it's a good idea. Actually, it's a good idea, man.
That'd be a good way. Well, when we jump back in, man, I'm dying. Tomorrow.
Yeah, dude, I'm so excited.
So
When we
excited.
skip a week, it seems like it's been a fucking month. You know? We
I
got
was
that
so
regular
upset
game
last
session.
Friday,
Oh.
dude. Me and Trent. What did we do last Friday? We went to.
Last Friday, we went to the brewery, I think.
That's right.
Yeah.
And we were sitting there, we were talking, and I was like, honey, I want to post something being sad about not gaming on Twitter. I said, but I don't want to make nobody feel bad because it was our decision to take a week off. He's like,
Yeah, sorry about that.
Well, no. Actually, honestly, dude, it was less about you not being here and more about the fact that we have all been putting so much effort into creating articles for the site, getting ready to launch at the end of this month, and putting effort into this podcast and on the other creative items we're working on and doing videos and shit like that. Like, I just felt, I was like, you know what? Everybody needs a fucking break. Let's all just take a week fucking off. Mad props to like CJ. Unfortunately, you guys don't ever get to, our listeners don't ever get to hear from everyone. We've got other people behind the scenes. And
I think eventually they will.
Oh, absolutely.
We figure out how to do reverse call-ins and all that
Right.
shit, man. We're gonna have everybody on.
I do want to take a moment though to give mad props to CJ, the guy who has been killing it for us graphics wise.
Yeah.
Like, I can't wait for you guys to check out the site and see this stuff, man.
My first entry of Geek Eats is coming, and I can't fucking wait. I don't know if you guys saw it or not, but CJ did a little cartoon meet.
Oh, he did?
Oh my god, fucking! I'm gonna find it.
Oh, man.
He's so fucking talented.
I know,
Absolutely.
dude. I know. I'm so excited.
That guy was so lucky to have him help us out because he's listening.
Yeah.
CJ, man, I'm not blowing smoke up your ass unnecessarily.
We're blowing smoke up your ass, dude, but
if
it's
you did
all right.
shitty things, I feel like I would fucking tell you. But
Exactly.
what I'm getting from you is badass.
Yeah,
We're
dude.
blowing smoke up your ass because you're killing it.
Yeah,
you,
dude.
You and Garridane.
Yeah.
The articles that Garridane's throwing up there is fucking out.
Dude, that's dope as
Spectacular.
fuck. Oh my
He
god.
did a little cartoon me with a chef hat and like a Gordon Ramsay shirt on.
That's fucking
that's
dope as
cool.
shit, dude.
I love it. I
That
love
is
it.
fucking
and it's
awesome.
the
Right?
kilty
I
shirt.
know, yeah, exactly.
That's awesome.
Dude, I mean, yeah, so mad props to him. And,
Yeah.
and Dan Garridane, another one, he's an author for us, and he's killing it too. So I wanted to take a minute just to mention those guys.
And Tim
'cause
will be back.
Tim will be back. Tim birthed a human, we know.
Yeah.
He's in the process of, he assisted in birthing a human,
Did he really? He was there for about 5 minutes.
He was there for when it started, and now he's there for the after effects. You know what I mean? Like, so, but he will be coming back towards the end of August. So I'm very excited about that. But anyways, I just wanted to take a minute to give a shout out to those guys because we seem to sometimes forget to talk about them, and they are just as integral to this and our and First Table Gaming as all of us are. So mad props to those guys. But awesome, cool, man. Well, all right, what's next? What do you got?
So there's another game that I want to talk about. When I first started this game, I was so into it. It's called Warriors of Waterdeep. And then I figured out their psychology behind the game. Now, I will say this. It has received mixed reviews online. Some of it is good, some of it is bad. If you like to pay to play, if you like to pay money in order for you to succeed in the game, then it is a 100% awesome game for you.
So it's very much based in
It
microtransactions.
is very,
Absolutely.
very based on being able to play. And it's not like, okay, most games are like, okay, if you want to speed up this building or if you want to do this, you got to pay. When you're going through not the PvP part, but the other part, they will have you go from like, I was like a level 3 character party. So the next thing they wanted me to beat was a level 9 fucking giant.
Yeah, right. Like, how do you go to that? Like,
so you can't progress anymore. So for a week, you're stuck on that. So people either get impatient and they break out their wallet,
right,
or they say, fuck you. I'm one of those who said, you know what? You're not going to force me to spend money on something
right
that's going to happen to me again in about 2 seconds. So
I feel that.
You know, yeah, exactly. That's something that I really respect about Riot Games, who do League of Legends. You can spend money in that game, and I've spent hundreds of dollars in that game. You know what I mean? But what I love that one of their big mottos is you can never buy power. You can buy new champions. You can buy skins for your champions. You can buy these little boxes you can open that can give you shards to do shit with. But you can never buy things that will make you more powerful than somebody else. You have to earn that. You have to earn that through play. Yeah. And that to me is so important because, like, I hate it when it's like I could just buy my way to power. You know what I mean? I could go spend $200 in this game and beat everybody.
I absolutely love that.
I get that because I was a really big War Dragons freak for a long time, and it's still a good game, and I pick it up every once in a while. I just got really burned out on it. You never had to spend money on that game, but they grossed like $1 million something in a quarter.
Yeah.
And let me tell you why. Because they have different things that they offer, but it's not a lot of money. So you're going to get those people who do spend money and are like, okay, I want to spend money. But at the same time, it didn't make you better than anybody else.
Right.
It gave you little things, and it may have giving you extra dragons, but that did not mean that you could have beat someone who was 15 levels higher than you.
Right, exactly. Or it wouldn't necessarily give you an advantage over somebody who doesn't have that dragon, you know?
So I get what League of Legends does. They use smart psychology. Yeah. And I spent I didn't spend as much as some people. I spent like $20 a month, but I still spent $20 a month. So that was $20 of the million something in a quarter. That's not a year. That is a quarter.
Oh, I know. League of Legends makes $18 million. Last time I read it, it was $18 million a month. A month. And they do not charge you to play the game. And you do not have to buy things to do anything in the game. That is that's making money off people buying skins and spending money on like treasure chests to try to get like random unique skins and things like that. But it costs $0 to play that game. And the more you play it, you can earn points to spend to purchase champions. So you do not have to buy anything. And they still make $18 million a month. I mean, that thing, dude, they're sponsored by Honda here in the U.S. Their professional league. The European one's sponsored by Kia. Like, it's a money-making industry. They said one of the things with League of Legends, I think they said at any given time, it's in my one article, at any given time, there's 23 or 24 million people playing that game 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Any given time you're online. Like, that's what was statistics from a while back, but it's insane. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
That's okay. So, I mean, a lot of the mixed reviews, the bad reviews came from people who are like me, who are like, you know what? I'm going to spend money when I want to spend money, not that I don't want to, because you know what? If it is a good product, I will support it 110%.
Yes.
But if you're going to sit there and tell me that you have to spend money to play me, go fuck yourself. I'll go buy a beer at the brewery.
I like that thought.
Boom. I put, I believe, $10 into that game before I went, fuck this, and turned it off.
Well, what I think's funny is, didn't you actually find War and Magic because you were earning, you were doing one of those things where you could earn rubies for that one? It's fucking funny.
But yeah, Bob, you played it. I was actually the one who said, Bob, I found this really cool game because, and I will have to say this about it. I was so tunnel visioned when it came to Dungeons and Dragons before I started playing that game. And me dual classing as a cleric totally came from playing that game because it actually taught me what a rogue does, what a cleric does. But But that's the one good thing I have to say about it.
Yeah, it did help her out a lot
Yeah.
because, like, it is kind of difficult to learn that in our group because we had a rogue that didn't play like a rogue.
Nope.
We have a cleric who does heal but plays more like a tank. You know what I mean? I'm a ranger.
Kind of has to.
Yeah, I know.
In the campaign we're in, we need somebody to save everybody.
We
else.
need two tanks, and we have them. But like, I'm a ranger that plays more like an assassin. You know what I mean? Like, so and you're the magic user that doesn't think that he does magic. It's just tricks.
This shit ain't real.
Yeah. But Bob, you played that game for a little while.
What
were your thoughts on it?
Oh, Warriors of Waterdeep.
Warriors of Waterdeep. Yeah, it was for the first 5 or 6 levels. It was good. I think I put $10, maybe $15 into it, just to see if it got any better or if it was all pay to play.
It's all pay to play. Yeah.
It's like, if you want to level up, if you want to get the gear that you need to beat the next level, you have to pay for it.
Yeah. See,
Yeah.
I can't stand that, man.
And I uninstalled it.
Yeah, I think that's bullshit. I hate games like that. If I can't earn my way to the same thing that somebody can use to buy their way to it, it's bullshit. I can't stand it. I hate it. Like,
That's like paying for your college degree. Go fuck yourself.
yeah, exactly.
And I am that's the problem I'm having with Final Fantasy 15 right now, because you can drop $10,000-$12,000 and be a top player.
Really?
Jesus.
Yes.
Who would spend $12,000 on a fucking mobile game?
People with a shit ton of money.
There are people. That's how the people that are above me in the group are above me in the group.
I want to put a public service announcement out here right now. If you spend $12,000 on a video game, you are fucking stupid. Like, seriously, throw away your phone and go give that money to charity, because that's ridiculous. Like, that's absolutely ridiculous. Like, come the fuck on.
There are people in my guild that are dropping $200-$300 a day. A day.
I have been
To get the
gaming.
best shit.
I've been playing video games my entire life, and I think in total I might have spent $2,000, maybe $3,000 on systems, games, in-game purchases, everything. Maybe $3,000.
Oh no, I beg to differ.
No way. No way, man.
It's a conservative.
You gotta remember back in the day, man, the PlayStation was fucking $80. The fucking PlayStation games were $20 when they first came out. The Nintendo was fucking like $80.
I remember one night telling me that you used to spend $50 a month at least on League of Legends.
No, not on League of Legends.
You would buy skins and characters.
I didn't buy skins. I spent around $50. Yeah, I spent money in that game buying characters for like a month. Like, I literally only spent like maybe $100 on that game. Over the last 4 or 5 years of me playing it, I might have spent $300 on it. Maybe.
I think $3,000 is.
I don't think so. Honestly, I don't.
No.
I don't think I've spent that much. I guarantee you I don't think I have, because I don't buy a lot of games. I do my research and find ones that I really want to play and purchase them. If I go on like, hey, I want a new game, I'll go to GameStop and I'll look in the $5 bin and find something that's $5-$6 that I've never heard of and take it home and play it. Because I'm not going to spend $40 or $50 on a game that I know nothing about. I won't. But I mean, maybe it's a little conservative, but I guarantee you it's not much more than that. I guarantee you it's not much more than that. I haven't spent that much, but $12,000 in a single mobile game, $200 to $300 a day, that's insane.
No.
Yeah, that's the reason I'm weaning myself off that game.
Right.
Because I have dropped more money in that game than I care to, and I can't afford it, and I'm not going to pay to play anymore.
Right.
I don't need to be the top player on the server. I don't need to be able to defend. And I wasn't playing the game to be able to go and brutally murder everybody else in the game.
Right.
Which is the mindset of most of the players in that game.
Right.
I don't like that.
I was building my characters so that when somebody hit me, they'd bounce off.
Right. Yeah, right. Yeah.
And anymore, those trillion troops I have is probably about 3 waves before I'm wiped out.
Are you serious?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's insane.
There are people out there that have that many more troops, and the wars that are going on now involve trillions.
That's just ridiculous. I can't find any enjoyment in that. You know what I mean? Like,
no.
That's just, that's more. Then it becomes this who has the most shit. You know what I mean? Who has the most shit? And that's it.
Here's my question.
I'm not going to tell you how much I've spent on that game.
No,
Bigger than
that's
a
not
baby's
what I'm
arm.
asking. So if Final Fantasy, because see, I haven't played that game in like a year and a half, maybe 2 years. And that, I was burned out on it, but it makes me wonder if like these new troops that come out, and what he says is that he can get burned out. I wonder how many of these big badass players that are wiping out these people is actually the game company forcing them to spend the money.
Yeah, how do we know they're not AI controlled players that are out there just trying to get you to buy shit to get past them? You know what I mean? Which would be perfectly valid business strategy according to the way the technology works, which is ridiculous.
Most of the players that are wiping people out on the server that I'm on are players in my game. Players in my guild, people that I talk, people that I talk to daily.
Wow.
Well, used to talk to daily. They are real players that have put that much money into it, and they go out and brutally slaughter everyone.
I just don't understand that. I do not understand.
And that's not the kind of game. I played the game because I want to build. I would love it if somebody could build a war game where you build up the troops, and you had there was an older game out there called Travian where it was a war game, it was a building game, but at the end of it, your entire guild had to work together to build a world wonder, and then you had to defend that world wonder against the rest of the server and the AI.
Oh, cool.
So I really enjoyed that game, and I was kind of hoping Final Fantasy. I've been playing Final Fantasy for about 2 years, two and a half years, and it was fun. But now I'm done.
Yeah, we've gotten to that point where it's over with. Right on. Well, I know Bob had something he wanted to bring up about Tiamat.
Yes, let's get into that.
Let's get into Tiamat, because
is that Tiamat on the table?
Yeah, that's
I've been looking at it.
Tiamat on the table.
That needs painted.
That's
like,
Tiamat on the table.
Shit.
On top of it, just to give everybody some context, in the game we play on Friday nights, last time we gamed, which was 2 weeks ago, we actually saved this princess lady named Arun, and thought she was this. Well, we talked about this a little bit earlier. Turns out she's actually the mother of Tiamat, and then we raised Tiamat. So we found out that last Friday, and that was the end of our session. So
we're going to call that an oops.
Yeah. We're going to call that bad on us.
Hey, my bad.
So a little bit of backstory before all this gets said. Everybody sends me what topics they want to talk about, and I do some research on it, okay? I did not do this on purpose because I do consider Bob a brother. And I would never do what's fixing to happen on air to anybody.
What are you doing?
Yeah, what's going on?
Yeah, dude, what are you
But he gave me, his topic was, why is Tiamat the best bad evil guy?
BBEG.
Yeah. Big bad evil guy.
Or gal.
So,
she's a gal.
Monday or Tuesday, I message my husband and go, oh, fuck. Bob is going to be so fucking pissed off at me. Because I found a homebrewed one that makes Tiamat look like a walk in the park.
See, I didn't pick YST Matt, the best big bad evil guy, because she was the most powerful one. I picked her because she's got the best story.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say.
Okay, well, let's talk about her story.
And then I want to get back to this one she found, because it's pretty insane.
I'll get back to the one you found. But I will say part of Tiamat 2...
In front of the microphone.
Part of me, Tiamat 2 is like not who she is so much as where she's at.
Right.
She lives in the 9 hells.
Yeah.
And to defeat Tiamat, to truly kill Tiamat, which is a god, granted, it's not easy.
Yeah.
You have to beat her on all 9 levels of hell. You have to beat her on level 1, and then her body disappears, and she has a layer on all 9 layers.
Then you lunch. You know what I mean?
Then you have to travel through the 2nd level of hell, find her, and beat her again.
Now, is it a different head you fight?
No, it's her entire. You have to kill
whole
her.
ass Tiamat. 5 heads, fucked up, and an army of devils, like legions of them,
and her 5 consorts. She has 5 consorts on every level. 5 of the biggest, baddest. Okay, now 5th edition eliminated this, and fuck them for this. There is 12 levels of dragon. The last one being the Great Worm.
Yeah.
She has 5 Great Worm consorts, 1 of each color on every level. You have to beat her plus 5 of the biggest, baddest, oldest, most evil motherfucking dragons that there are.
How is that even possible? Like, how could you do that? Like, legitimately, like, how
Trent,
could you?
Did you forget we've done this?
I don't remember fighting through all 9 layers and fighting all 9 levels of hell.
We did this in the Dragon Orb campaign.
And we fought 5 old great worm dragons along with Tiamat every level?
Yes.
Wow, how could I forget that?
Why do you think she's the best big bad evil guy?
Hey, Trent,
Now,
I was smoking a lot of pot those days.
It's like drugs.
Drugs.
Decades and drugs equals. I don't fucking remember that shit.
True. Well, please continue.
So you have to beat her and her 5 consorts on all 9 levels, and then travel through the next level down to find her again. Where the last level, the level of Asmodeus, the Prince of Hell, is one of her consorts.
Yeah.
So,
and he's bad as fuck. Like him by himself, you ain't doing it.
So
But-
now you have to beat her, the one sitting in front of us.
Yeah.
Asmodeus, the Prince of Hell,
Right.
and 5 of the biggest, baddest, most evil and smart great worm dragons that there are.
And that's how you beat Tiamat.
And that's how you kill Tiamat.
You have to kill her. You have to kill her every single time, too. It's not like you take her down to half hit points and she runs away.
No, you have to kill her. Her body dissolves, she goes to another level, and then you find her on the next
Does she
level.
get more powerful every time she goes down? Every
That
level?
I don't remember, but I
don't believe so.
I do know that if you use this, she's extremely intelligent. So when
Right.
you start using the same tactics on her, she adjusts.
Right.
It's like fighting a better and better AI on every level.
Right.
She's eventually going to go, oh, look, they're going to come through that door, do this, and I'm just going to put a trap there.
So essentially what you're telling me is we just woke up that
Yes.
in our campaign.
Thanks, Tim.
I feel very sad now.
I'm going to open up a bar.
I'm just gonna do tattoos.
Exactly, right?
Find me a nice bard, get some homebrew going, and
I'm going to go ahead and
retire.
I'm just going to go ahead and become a bounty hunter.
That seems like a
I'm
good
going to become Dorn the bounty hunter.
My favorite thing about Tiamat is that Colonel Mac is her offspring. He's a
Did
god.
you just say Colonel Mac?
Colonel Mac.
Colonel Mac as in like Colonel Mac or Colonel Fry?
Curtle. It's-
Oh, Curdle. I thought you meant like the Colonel, like KFC.
Yeah,
Like-
it's Kurtulmak.
Okay, so
he's the
Kurtulmak.
god of kobolds.
Oh, nice.
Basically, somebody attacked Tiamat in her lair, and it fucked up one of the eggs, and it hatched early.
Right.
Colonel Mac's like, shit, all right, hey, bitch, and he just grabbed a couple of eggs that were like really premature, and fucking used magic to create kobolds. So at a certain point, Tiamat was like, man, I don't remember creating. Oh, you're mine? Oh, okay. Yeah, I made these. Oh, for fuck's sake, those two? Ah, damn. All right. They're useful.
So technically, Kobold's god and creator is Tiamat.
It's just
really
this
Tiamat.
weird accident.
Right.
She's kind of like, oh, I don't remember doing that. All right, whatever.
Kind of like, I don't remember killing Tiamat, but all right, like.
Lots and lots of drugs.
Yeah,
That's how you get
exactly.
kobolds.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see where this heads, man. So, like, see, to me, that just seems so impossible. Like, I mean, that's a lot to beat, dude. And, like, I don't see how you could do that in 5th edition because I don't see how you can get to the level to be able to do the kind of damage you would need to do to beat that kind of thing. Like, how are you going to beat fucking 5 Elder Dragons and Tiamat?
Well, she's
9
Bahamut's
times.
sister, so I don't think he's any easier to defeat.
Right, I'm just saying,
Probably.
9. I'm just
Is there 9 layers of like heaven and you have to fight like fucking? It's like the reverse of it, you know?
I
You got
believe he lives on Avernus, and there's only one level of that. But it is one of the positive.
he lives in Avernus.
Isn't Avernus one of the Infernal Planes?
That's one of the fucking infernal planes.
Yeah, because that's the new the new Baldur's Gate game is the new
I
Baldur's
might have fucked that up.
the new
I think
Baldur's
you mean Elysium. Is it Elysium?
Could be, yeah.
because the new Baldur's Gate adventure that's coming out by Wizards of the Coast is Descent into Avernus.
Yes.
Which has to do with like shit going. I can't wait for that, dude. I cannot wait for that one. Bahamut, yeah.
Although
The Platinum Dragon.
I'll just cover it briefly and touch on it. Some do not like I don't know what you call it. The motif of it. Basically, it's Mad Max Fury Road in hell.
Okay.
Like all the demon lords and everything down there, they create these like fucking siege engine cars that run on souls.
Oh,
So if you
that's
command
cool.
enough souls, it fuels these things, and they're all fucked up war machines.
Right.
Like, yeah, imagine Mad Max Fury Road with the dude slinging off of it, playing guitar with a
Yeah.
flamethrower off of it, and it's just chewing souls. Like, so, yeah.
That
it's
sounds
ugly.
cool, man.
I'm fucking in, yeah.
Yeah, I'm in too. What are you doing over there, Stormy?
Sorry,
I'm
he
trying
lives
to
on.
find that damn thing, but I can't find
He,
it.
he lives on
That
Celestia.
thing we found
okay.
yesterday.
What is
makes
that
Tiamat
exactly?
look
That's
like
one
a-
of the prime positive. So it's
Okay, so it's heaven.
It's heaven.
Yeah.
It's heaven. And is it any easier to defeat him? Does he have like an army and shit, or does he like, no, I got this?
Well, according to 5th edition, he's dead, so that's another reason.
You
the
bastards! You killed Bahamut!
5th edition can suck a testicle.
I will offend you, Bahamut.
Let's try fuck 4th edition. I've never played 4th edition, never really liked 4th edition, so we're just going to move on. Moving on. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
That hurts my soul.
I'm sorry.
I know you're a big 4th edition fan. man.
Honest to God, like, well, I'm not just a fan. I am its hugest fucking cheerleader.
Yeah.
Because it is my favorite. And I wanted to make that clear. Like, if I was to take over DMing, I really wanted to play 4th. But if that is a deal breaker for you guys, I understand that too. Some part of this is, you want to play the edition that you want to play.
Right.
And if you're not interested in that at all, that's okay. But if I were to DM, that's what I would like to do.
I wouldn't mind giving it a try, but I'd like to spend some more time with 5th, just knowing.
Whatever.
But we're going to be playing 5th for a while, dude, because we're on leg 2 of Tim's 5-leg campaign. We're just about to start leg 3. He's got 5 legs.
This leg is gnarly as fuck.
That last leg was insane. Like, that leg 2
Right.
was pretty crazy. But, yeah, you can't find it. Dude, she found this thing. The one attack did what, 13 D20? 13 D20
What
damage.
was it? Can you describe it?
It's I showed you last night, Bob. Do you
13
remember what it
D20,
was
suck
called?
my dick.
It's like the
The
defender.
one
of
you showed me
some-
last night, you said wasn't it.
No, it
was
was.
the
It wasn't.
Terran.
It wasn't. But it wasn't the one that ate its head. The necro. I found another one that it ate whoever it was. Whoever attacked it, it would eat it. It would engulf their soul, and then would turn around and use whatever attacking power that they had on their party. That one I couldn't find.
Surprise,
Right.
But I
boomerang,
did
motherfucker.
find the one I showed.
It was called
to you.
Terratanum or something like that. It was like the spirit of the earth god.
Yeah.
Remember, looked up D&D Beyond.
What was it?
It was like Terratanum or something like that.
While she looks that up, Bahamut's stats: armor class of 32.
Right.
He covers a space of 50 by 50,
Jesus.
50 feet by 50 feet.
Holy fuck.
He's got to lay off the mac and cheese.
He's
The
got
Colonel Mac.
45 D20 plus 585 hit points, roughly 1,500.
45 D20.
45 D20.
For what? His attack?
His hit points.
Oh, his hit points.
Oh, his attack. Hold on, glasses. All right, glasses.
Old man looking at
I
his
know,
phone.
right?
Plus 29 to hit. He does 18 D12 plus 24 slashing.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
that's the brother of Tiamat, Bahamut, who's the good one, the good version of Tiamat.
His bite does 18 D20 plus 24. He's got a plus 29 to hit.
18 D20?
Yeah, average. The average
more than that.
The average
Yeah.
damage to that is 213.
Wow.
Okay, so it puts the one that I found to shame.
Because she found this one, she sent me, she's like, it does 13 D20 fucking damage. She's messaged me in Slack like, holy fucking shit.
His tail does 34 D8 plus 24. And breath weapon.
We're not even to breath weapon.
I know, right?
He has 3 of them.
What I was going to say, is it lightning? What's he got?
Cold.
Cold.
30 D20.
Platinum dragon coming.
30 D20?
Yeah.
Holy sh!
Gaseous, gaseous form. Each creature in the area must make a saving throw or they're turned into mist. Good luck.
Fuck that dragon.
Or disintegration breath.
Fuck Bahamut.
Disintegration breath.
Fuck Bahamut right in his big fucking platinum ass. Like, fuck that guy.
See,
that
I
one
think I
also
would
does
much
30
rather
D20.
be eaten and used against the party than turned into a gas.
I'd rather not take 30 D20 to the face. That would suck. That would just that's the definition in the dictionary under suck. It says 30 D20 to the face. Like, that's fucking awful, dude.
Yeah.
Sweet mother of
You
God.
don't even need consorts.
Yeah, I know, right?
Your sister's slutty, but you got this.
He is a god. So, God.
Right.
That's
God
fucking
status.
nuts. That is fucking nuts. Kurt, what else did you have for us today, man?
Oh, he's got the preacher.
Well, Preacher is a comic that when I left for the Air Force, I stopped going to a comic shop, and
Damn the Air Force.
yeah, we had covered this before about our local comic shop just being this amazing place in time that we can't get back, and I think we miss it a great deal. But when I came back home, like almost 5 years later, the guy that ran the comic shop was like, "Oh, hey man, I got a bunch of stuff you need to check out."
You talking about Uncle Eric?
No, I'm talking about
Wayne. Okay, gotcha.
I'm talking about Wayne. And Wayne was like, he just started grabbing comics off the shelf because he knew my pull from 5 years before.
Right.
And he knew my taste. And one of those comics that he handed me was Preacher. And like by the time I even just looked at the cover I was in, I'm like, what the fuck am I looking at? And the issue he gave me was the solo on, for those of you who watched the TV show, you might recognize Arseface.
Yes, I was telling you about
that. Was the cover. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, what the fuck is this?
You open it up, and he's sitting on a park bench. The opening sequence in there is Arseface sitting on a park bench next to a homeless guy. And the homeless guy is like, there's flies on him. And he starts talking, and it's literally kind of a ripoff of Forrest Gump. But the way that they did his dialogue in the comic was exactly what you imagine, with a guy with a face like an arsehole.
Yeah, right.
He was like, so if you sounded it out, it's kind of like Kenny from South Park. If you sounded it out, you can kind of figure out what he's saying. So it's like Forrest Gump's life is like a box of chocolates, but it's like fucking hilarious.
Right.
Like I'm in. And then you find out that this character in the comic book, the TV show, they did it different. I really fucking like what they did with his origin. In the comic, and this is so topical, it literally like just fucking happened, that Arseface was a kid who was devastated by Kurt Cobain killing himself and wanted to copycat it, and it didn't fucking work, and he lived, but his face, it's crazy, horrible. So I was like, right from the get-go, I'm like, this is warped and fucked up, and I love this comic.
Right.
And they kept hinting that, they're going to make a movie. Like, they can't make a movie. This show is fucking... This comic is bananas.
Right.
It is a fucking preacher who had lost his faith and then gained the power of a god.
God's voice.
Who's rolling around with his girlfriend who's an assassin and his best friend, a fucking hard-drinking, kick-ass vampire.
Yeah.
Like... If you love the movie Near Dark, which is my favorite vampire movie, and those type of vampires are in short supply in movies and stories, and I love them. And I don't know, especially if that was who they had chosen, or like that's what helped inform them on how to write Cassidy. But that's the kind of vampires I fucking like. And but it's too warped and fucked up. I thought they'll never make it, and they did. They made a fucking TV show now on its 4th season that is balls out bananas. Like, it's what the comic was, and then more. Like they constantly kick it up a notch.
What blows my mind about that too is that's Seth Rogen. Seth Rogen's the one behind that. Like he's the one behind bringing that to TV, man, which is just impressive. You know, you think, the Pineapple Express guy brought us brought us this twisted fucking TV show. Like I said, I watched the first season, and I thought in the TV show, I must be wrong, I thought in the TV show they did say that Arseface tried to kill himself.
Well, yeah, but not because of Kurt Cobain. Like, the actual story about Arseface in the show is so much more compelling.
Right.
Like,
I only watched season 1, so like I haven't been past that.
That's on our list to watch.
Yeah, you won't be disappointed. What they did with his character is just like, you want to look away and then you can't. You're like, oh, fuck, it's horrible. Yeah.
It's a great show, though, man. I thought it was cast really well. I love the guy who plays, I can't think of the name of the preacher, but
Dominic,
yeah.
I can't remember his name. Weird fucking parallel there, and I love this movie too. The guy that plays Jesse on the show and the lady who played Tulip were very, very prominently featured in the World of Warcraft movie.
Really?
Yeah, they're both main characters in it. So I don't know if the Seth Rogen watched that and was like, they work well together. I'm gonna put them in this fucked up show that's not that.
Right.
So, yeah, and if you haven't watched the World of Warcraft movie, again, I think
I haven't. I just haven't watched it yet. It's one of those films that I keep catching pieces of.
Yeah,
like it'll be on like HBO or something. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna watch that because I watched like 10 minutes of it, and I just never get back to actually watching it.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. It's beautiful, and yeah,
I heard it was really well done. Like I heard it was very well
Preacher
done.
TV show. I also brought today one of the cool things about that amazing comic shop we had was they were bringing guests, and I brought a whole bunch of shit to get it signed, but the cover artist for Preacher, which is totally worth looking up, each cover was just gorgeous.
Yeah.
Was by a Scottish artist by the name of Glenn Fabry, who is passed on from this world, and rest in peace, Glenn. But I got everything preacher that I had at the time signed, including this trade. And he did a really sick, fucked up sketch of a guy being beheaded.
Nice.
Yeah, really, really cool guy.
That's fucking awesome.
That's one of the
dude.
perks of going to a comic shop, people, is occasionally they bring in artists and you get to meet them and talk to them about their work for a little bit.
Yeah, it bothers me that we don't have a shop here in town anymore,
Absolutely.
man. I think it would do well, I mean, we've even tossed the idea around about thinking about looking into what it would take to open one, just because I think the community would love it, man. And especially now with how popular gaming and comics are, like, dude, that the old freaking Blockbuster that used to be the loan title company went out of business. I'm like, that's a perfect fucking comic book shop.
Oh, you imagine?
It's fucking perfect. It's a great location. There's food nearby, tons of parking. Like, it'd be awesome.
Yep, you'd be hosting games.
Yep.
Card, Magic stuff tournaments.
Exactly.
Just like the old shop. It was a nerve center for everything geek in this town.
Yep.
Everyone that's opened here in Worcester is 100.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely, everyone on the Pegasus games just 100.
Right.
That you can't get enough people in there.
So this town does not have a game shop.
No.
And it's a liberal arts college town. How the fuck is that possible?
Well, the thing is I think too, like the most recent game shop was a couple of years ago, Pegasus Games, right?
Yes.
So I'm thinking that now with the rise in popularity of Dungeons.
That was only last year because I was still going there when you guys moved up here.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't even know there was.
I think it's location too. How the fuck are the kids going to get down there?
Where was it?
Straight down the road here from us, past Greenleaf.
Oh, okay, down there. Yeah. See, it is
There's not
location.
you know what I mean? You can't ride your bike over there.
Yeah, the location is an issue. Like, I think downtown is hard, and I think North End is hard. That's why I'm eyeballing that old Blockbuster, because it's directly in the fucking middle. It's real close to the college. It's not too far away from the neighborhoods. You know what I mean? It'd be a great spot. But it does make me sad, because, like, the closest comic book shop we have around here is, like, Canton, right?
Yep.
You got to go to
And those
Canton.
are all great shops. There's shops in Canton and Akron and
Yeah.
elsewhere, the Cleveland. They're all great, but come on.
It's like, come on, man. We need a local place here in town,
If you can get a comic book shop close to the college, that would be great. Also, I still say you need a place in town that sells sex toys.
I agree too, but didn't they already chase that one business out?
They chased
my
it out,
God.
yes.
Yeah.
But
that was because of
you've got
video booths. Like, you can't.
Oh, they had actual like porn booths in them.
Oh yeah.
Oh Jesus.
And that's what it was.
Yeah.
They're like, people are going in there and doing fucking weird shit. Like, well, who cares?
Exactly.
How about who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
like,
Is that
ain't none
really
of
your
your
fucking
business.
concern in this town?
You've got all these college kids that are coming to this college for the first time with mommy and daddy's money. Sell them sex toys. You'll make a killing.
Bob, I think you're onto something.
I tried to get my ex-wife to start that business. She didn't want to. And now I'm sitting here with you guys.
Womp womp.
Exactly.
I'm much happier here.
Okay, great, man. I think the preacher conversation is a great way to segue directly into
the boys.
The boys, considering
God
it's
damn
Garth
right.
Ennis did both,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Oh, he did both.
Spoilers ahead, and
Lots of spoilers. ahead.
Not too many spoilers.
and you can't go past episode 5 because I haven't finished it yet. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm
so-
busy.
I am going to say this. How much do we pay a month for Amazon?
We pay, I think, $12 a month for our Amazon Prime account.
Okay, if you do not have Amazon Prime, I would say skip going to the bar once this week and get Amazon Prime. Because this show, The Boys, it's very hard for me to not do anything with my hands while watching TV. I put down my crochet. I put down my work for First Table Gaming. I put down everything, and I was concentrated on this TV show.
I can testify to that.
And that is 1 in a million that ever happens to.
Yeah, that's a rarity. Like, the only other time I've really seen that happen with you was like Vampire Diaries and The Wire.
Yeah.
Like, she got into him so much that she didn't need to be doing something with her hands at the same time. And like, the first episode of The Boys we watched, she was like, okay, that was fucking twisted. And I'm like, yeah, it is pretty twisted. I don't know much about this. And then the second episode came, we're like, wow, it's really fucking twisted. And then like all of a sudden she's like, click, and this like opens up the recliner, and she's like, I want to settle in for this one, dude. You know, like, there's something going on here.
We pissed through the whole thing in like
2 days.
2 days. Not even 2 days. We watched one episode one night, and then we watched the other 7
the next day. Exactly, yeah.
That still counts as 2 days.
This show, I like it a lot because it for me, it's what would happen if superheroes were around today. If you think about it, when superheroes were created, we were in a completely different society. We did not live in the crappy society that we do today. And they took superheroes and monetized them. Mm-hmm. So you had to pay to get superheroes help.
Which, if you kind of think about it, it's kind of funny because it's almost a reflection of art imitating life. Because, like Disney bought Marvel and now it's monetizing those superheroes in every fucking aspect you could possibly think of.
Yeah.
So it's just like, what if Disney went that one step too far? If superheroes were real, would Disney just buy them and represent them all?
I will tell you this, though. Do not have your kids watch it. In no way, shape, or form should kids watch this show.
Yeah, it's not a children's show.
Unless you hate your kids.
I started,
Buckle up, kid. Life sucks. Here we go.
I started watching it, and my son was sitting next to me. He's 13. Yeah, 13. I got 26 minutes into the first episode and went, yeah, not anymore.
What makes me really happy about this show, though, is I'm happy we finally have arrived at a point with comic book as a genre, or comic book film as a genre, that people can start to get really creative with it. And we're seeing that with the upcoming Joker, which we've talked about in the past, the success of Deadpool, the success of Logan, which are much more violent stuff, to where we can really get to see these creepy, crazy, insane fucking books come to life. And like that show, man, fucking Carl Urban as Billy Butcher is just, that guy is fucking hitting home runs every fucking episode. Like
100%. I watched an interview with Garth Ennis, the creator and the writer of The Boys, and what he said about it was, he goes, much like Preacher, the first thing that I noted about this was how well they cast it.
Right.
Carl Urban is 100% what he thought of.
Yeah.
When he wasn't thinking of Carl Urban. But he's like, I couldn't have picked a better person to do this. And he is, man. Whatever Carl Urban's doing, Jesus, it's worth your attention.
Yeah, the choices he's making in that show are fantastic, because I love like the gritty Australian English. I can't figure out which one he is.
Yeah.
Like just gritty, don't give a fuck. I'm pissed off. My wife got killed. I'm fucking want to hurt everybody. Like fucking attitude that he's got. It's just fantastic. And like his I don't give a shit thing is just, I love it, dude. Like the second episode, dude, where they're kicking the fuck out of fucking Translucent, and like he tells him push him over, and he shocks him with the fucking cords, and he's like, so how'd you know that electricity would work? And fucking what's his name? Huey looks at him, is like, well, he's carbon fiber skin, and he's like, it would take me ages to figure that out. He's like, well, you gotta help me. He's like, why? We just killed a soup, dude. Like we gotta do something about this. Like just the way he treats all that shit is so good, man. Like,
now,
so
there
good.
was one scene, it is twisted. Like, it, takes...
One scene was twisted?
No. The whole thing is twisted.
Yeah.
But Amazon gave them a lot of leeway, and I have to give Amazon a lot of credit, because there's a lot of people get really pissed off when something isn't true to form. And you got to understand that sometimes studios tie their hands behind their backs and say, you can't do this, or you have to change it to this, or you have to make it sparkle and pretty.
Right.
We don't want to offend people. Amazon basically threw all that out the window and said, fuck you. There was one scene that did get cut.
I heard about this, yeah.
And it is where Homelander, who plays Homelander, is the dark and evil, twisted
good guy
Superman. He jacks off at the top of Empire State Building, right?
It's either that, or it was the I can't remember if it was the Empire State Building or the Chrysler Building. I can't remember which one, but
I think it was the Empire State Building.
Yeah,
but again, like
it happens
all the shit
after
that you watch on that show. And they're like one guy jacking off.
Well, I think it's because of the fact that, like, apparently, like, it's because it's after Madeline fucking scolds him in episode 2 for, like, he made a choice about something or did something, and she scolds him.
Right.
And, like, that's when he flies away, and it's like, apparently the scene was pretty graphic with semen flying everywhere and like him in pants and jerking his dick and I can do whatever I want, like and fucking just spewing his super fucking sperm all over fucking New York.
That was
like,
the funniest fucking scene.
I think
like
it's
falling off the
fucking-
couch laughing.
I think it's
like,
awesome.
That
but
scene would have killed.
I can understand that Amazon went, okay, that's a bit much. You know what I mean? Like we're
Is the
already
FCC
pushing the
gonna come in
envelope.
and be like, you're only allowed to show this much cum.
Right, like
Yeah.
we're already pushing the envelope here. You know what I mean? Like let's
There's
be
just
careful.
such weird fucking rules, like when you talk about movies and weird shit that they can show and what they can't show.
Yeah. Like they had no problem with them, implying that they inserted plastic explosive in a man's rectum and then blew him up with blood and guts flying everywhere.
Right.
That wasn't an issue, but a guy jerking off and spewing his super load all over fucking New York was a problem.
Yeah.
But I guess, technically he sexually assaulted New York, I guess. You know what I mean? I guess maybe that's the way they're looking
Take
at
that,
it.
Big Apple.
You know what I mean? Maybe that's the way they're looking at it.
No.
So did the Deep.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, the Deep, it's, yeah, so, yeah.
Because
the
the
idea
Me
that it was
Too
too
movement was huge in this.
Yeah.
Now I don't want to necessarily say Me Too. It wasn't the Me Too. Don't bash me for that. It was not the Me Too. It was women standing up for how men treat them in the workplace.
Well, they very well displayed in episode 2 the idea of somebody in power using that to sexually assault somebody who is under them. You think about this, like the heroes. You can totally tie that to a Harvey Weinstein situation. You have Harvey Weinstein, who is like the biggest movie producer on the planet, and you're an up and coming actress. You walk in his office, you got to blow me, or you're never going to work in this town again. What do you do? You know what I mean? Like, what are you supposed to do there? And they did a great job of portraying that, and they also did a great job of showing Starlight like being like, "Fuck you, dude." I love the.
You're just the fish guy.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's my favorite line, dude. When she's like, I asked about you around here. You're not number 2. You're just a fucking fish guy.
But see, at the end, I'm not going to say too much. She was able to use that instance, though.
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
keep her quote unquote job.
To actually change her position when you think about it. And like, I can foresee, without giving away too much either, some very interesting things coming between her and Homelander in the future. Because I see what they're doing with Starlight, but I don't want to go too much further because you're not there yet. So
Nope.
Yeah.
I have, I don't have a life, but I have a very busy set of time where I'm awake.
Exactly.
You have a very big family, though, Bob.
But, what makes me really happy here, too, is that Amazon, I'm really happy for Amazon because Amazon produces a lot of good original content. I really liked, I don't know if anybody's ever watched Hannah. Hannah's really great.
I heard that new Carnival Row or what?
Carnival Row is going to be
God,
fucking
I'm fucking excited about
amazing.
that,
I
yeah.
can't wait for that to drop.
That's my shit right there.
Bosch
Yeah.
Bosch was really good. If you guys like gritty detective dramas, Bosch is a really good show. It's an Amazon original. It's made from a series of books.
Their Tick reboot's fucking great too.
Yeah, their Tick reboot was great. I'm just really happy to see them hit a home run on something like this because I think this show is going to push them. That's going to bring them back into the conversation when it comes to streaming. Right now the main streaming conversation is Netflix, Hulu, and whatever the fuck Disney's doing.
I do know that the Boys TV show has already won 2 awards, and it's gotten 3. I think it's 3 nominees. Hold on, it's either like 2 or 3 nominees.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just happy that it's making Amazon's original content be a little more relevant again, because they do The Expanse. The Expanse is Amazon original, and that shit's great, dude. Is it? I think it's Amazon original. I can't remember now. But no, I'm just happy to see that. And speaking of streaming...
Oh, here it is.
Okay, which is it?
Okay, let's see.
But...
Okay, it won the Golden Trailer Award in 2019, and it was nominated for Golden Trailer in 2019 for Best Sound Editing. Okay, so I was wrong. It was 1 award and 1 nominee.
Oh, okay. I'm just best sound editing, really?
Yeah.
Like out of all the things you could pick out of that film, you chose the sound editing?
It's pretty good.
But it won for the best action.
Yeah. I mean, and speaking of streaming services too, while we're talking about this, did you see Disney drop the bomb? They are fucking going cutthroat. So, like, I saw this the other day. I'm just bringing this up real quick, but Disney is offering Disney Plus, Hulu, and another service, which I can't remember what it is right now, for $13 a month. That's cheaper than it is just for Netflix.
Yeah, Netflix is about to
So
take
they
it up the
buy
paper.
Hulu?
Oh yeah, Disney owns Hulu because when they bought Fox, they bought Hulu.
Oh.
So now Disney owns Hulu as well. So yeah, Hulu, fucking Disney Plus, which is gonna have all their new fucking comic books television shows, and one other free service for $13 a month. Dude, they are literally going for the throat on fucking Amazon. Well, that's right about what Amazon is, but that's cheaper than Netflix on 4 TVs. You know what I mean? Like I would get rid of Netflix right now. I don't have to worry about Netflix because it's paid for by my phone company. But like, you know, like that's insane, dude. That's 3 streaming services. That would take our bill down considerably, considering about the number of streaming services
well,
we
at
have.
first, that's what it is the introductory offer.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And once they own everything, it'll start climbing up there like Netflix did, you know.
But you know what? I have to stay with it, man. I got to keep an eye on those Marvel shows.
So long as they're like, Netflix has always been worth it to me because they were producing stuff like the Daredevil series.
Yeah.
And they were doing fucking amazing documentary series.
Netflix too.
Good.
Like Netflix's original content's really good, man, and they keep it up, man. Like Russian Doll was great. We talked about that last time. We recently just watched a really, really great documentary on there called The Great Hack, which any of you should check out. And let me tell you this straight out the gate, that it's not an anti-right wing or Trump hating thing.
No, it's hard to ignore what they find.
It's about Cambridge Analytica and the shit that they did, and it was and how what they did to influence the election. You know what I mean? It was really good.
There's still a bunch of players and people like fucking Zuckerberg where they're like, hey, what the fuck, dude? You were pretty complicit in that.
Yeah, I know. I thought it was great. How
Zuckerberg actually, it
Do they
shows
nail him
it
in
in
that?
that he was brought before Congress for, what was it, psychological warfare?
No. Zuckerberg was brought in front of Congress because they said that he was illegally sharing information about his users with Cambridge Analytica. He said that he told Cambridge Analytica, no, stop doing this, because basically Cambridge Analytica created an app that allowed you. It was one of those quiz things.
Yeah,
they had somebody create them an app, and like basically if you took this quiz and agreed to it, then what it would do is give Cambridge Analytica not only access to all of your personal information along with stuff that was in your private messages, but they could also attach to every single person in your friends list and get all of theirs. And they used this to generate like 5,000 data points and build a psychological model of what the typical American voter was, the independent American voter, the ones that were swing, that didn't know which way they would go. You know, they could figure out who were going to totally vote Democratic and who were going to vote Republican. They were looking for the people in the middle. And like the psychological warfare part came in because of that was in Britain, because Cambridge Analytica was located in Britain, and because of the tactics they use, Britain actually classifies it as psychological warfare. So like Britain's parliament went after them for that,
right?
And was like, you can't do this,
because they swung a whole group of people to vote for that Brexit horseshit with a bunch of bullshit.
Well, the thing is,
what
they show is that that Brexit was the test run. It goes through everything, and it shows like the first one they tried was in the Philippines, and the Philippines, this was great. I thought this was awesome. I mean, it wasn't awesome. It's fucking terrible for what they did. But I'm like, as a psychological experiment, they essentially went down there and they noticed that I think it was in the Philippines, it was, or maybe it was, I can't remember exactly. It was one of those little island places. But you had they were running for an election there, and one half was Indian, like, East Indian descent, you know what I mean, like Asian Indian. And then the other half were of African descent. And they noticed, by doing this research, they figured out that the people that were of the African ethnic group were younger than the people on the Indian side. So they were working for the people that were from the Indian descent side, that were the two people running for office. So what they did was got all this information and then released a series of advertisements and videos and YouTube videos telling kids that they should just stay out of the vote. And having these famous people go on there and being like this, like singers doing this, like, we're not going to vote, protest and not vote. So they basically convinced the entire other side not to vote, which made the side they were working for win. Like, that was the shit they got in trouble for, was like using those kind of tactics. And then they did it with Brexit, and then once again in the 2016 election, so, but it was, anyways, I don't want to get too deep into that. It was a great fucking movie though. It was really good. Check it out if you get a chance. But no, I'm proud of Amazon, man. They're coming back and they're swinging, and I consider them in the mix now. Hitting this one out of the park, I think makes them relevant as a streaming service again. They've always been relevant, but like, when people talk about original content, you rarely hear Amazon. You hear Netflix, you hear Hulu, and then everybody's been talking about what Disney Plus is going to be doing. But
Well, I will say this: they have already announced that they are doing a second season, and with it being this good, I don't see it going
Of the
anywhere for a
boys.
while.
Yeah, the boys
Yeah.
already been confirmed for a second season, which I'm very excited about. So I'm stoked
Yeah.
for that.
How much content do they have in the comic books?
That I don't know. Did you ever read the books, Curt?
I did not. That was a comic that came out on Wildstorm for a minute.
Okay.
And then it got moved to the company that was a little looser. Wildstorm got antsy about what the crazy shit they were doing in there.
Right.
And so he's completely unfettered, and I cannot remember the publisher that would publish the next series that ran him 72 issues and ended in 2012.
Right on.
So
there's
we got so
definitely
much more for them to show us.
Yeah, there's
and
a lot
I'm really
of content.
excited about that.
Did you just kick the table? Yeah,
Is that demerit?
I actually had to wear shoes this time because last time I kicked the table and almost broke my fucking toe. Fuck this table.
How dare you insult Colossus? There was a price to pay for Colossus.
So, Bob, I know you had another book series you wanted to bring up to us.
And I'm going to butcher this name because I've never heard it said out loud, but I think his name is Sever, Bronny.
Okay.
And he's put out something called the Arthinian line. And it's about 3 friends that effectively... I'm trying to think of how to explain it now. There's a warlock school.
Okay.
And everybody has some... There are ordinaries, but most everybody has some level of magical ability.
Okay.
They call it arcane ability because magic is what the people do tricks in villages.
Right, yeah.
So, the arcane ability. But the higher in levels you get, when you're battling or when you're showing off your abilities, you have bands that go up your arm. And the highest level in each discipline, there's 7 disciplines, there's 20 bands.
Okay.
So you can be a 20th level arcanist.
Right.
There's a 21st level. It's called mastery, and you have to be, but it turns all of them solid, and it gives you like a solid, like the one of the main characters is a 20th has mastered lightning, and it's a solid sleeve of lightning that's up and down her arm, and it's just the way he describes it is just fucking brilliant.
Right.
But she was the headmistress for the arcane for the university, as she was she left because her grandson was called Lord of the Legion, and he's a 20th level mastery level necromancer.
Oh, wow.
And
I want to know what his tattoo looks like.
they don't describe it because he the one he shows everybody is the lightning one. He's actually mastered 2 elements.
Oh, holy shit, man.
So the one he shows everybody is lightning.
Right.
And his son, who's one of the main characters, one of the kids that she's tutoring and trying to teach because he killed her grandson, killed her children. His wife left him to give birth and to the main character, and then eventually died. And he blames all of this on the headmistress,
right,
who was only actually in like the first 5-book series,
right.
But they don't ever explain what a 20th level, a mastery level necromancer's arm sleeve works like because they're so rare.
Right.
But the fact that he mastered 2 abilities makes him a really, really bad son of a bitch.
So how many books are in this series?
The first 5, there's 5 in the first series, and that's called the Arthinian Line. There's a second series out that's called Honor's Price. Now, I talked about Robert Jordan and how I bought that series and bought the first 6 books and how it crushed me as a human and made me hate the young man sitting behind the book counter. Amazon did it to me with this one too. So the second series isn't done, and they didn't tell me hey, you can buy this, you can get this book for free just to read it because you're part of the Amazon Prime. So I read book 1 of series fucking 2.
Oh no.
And I'm like, these characters are great, and they're talking about all this backstory. I'm like, oh, this is such a rich world where she's created a whole war that happened before this that you don't even really know about. They just kind of reference it.
Right.
No, You know about it. It happened in the first 5 fucking books, which Bob is just now starting to read. He's already read book 1 and 2 of the second series because he's waiting on the third one because the book fucking isn't done yet.
Right.
But I'm like going, I'll go back and learn, and I'm having a really hard time getting into the first series because I already know that they live. And the first 5 books is a whole lot of, oh shit, we're going to die. Oh shit, we're going to die. Oh shit, we're going to die. Well, they obviously don't die because they're in the second series. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, now we all know too.
Yeah.
Thanks, Bob.
You're welcome. Fuck you. If I have to deal with this, so do you.
Right.
But in the first book, there are 3 spells for every level to learn your mastery, plus the spell of your element. So you have to learn 4 spells, and once you reach your peak, there are some people that peak at maybe the 7th level. Mm-hmm. There are some people that peak. Reaching 20 is almost fucking impossible anymore.
Right.
But in the second series, I think the kids start out at level 7. But the first 5 books show them going through the war, and actually she's teaching them enough that they can level up while they're in the shitstorm.
Right.
So they're learning without ever having been in the school.
Right.
And she's teaching them spells that are well above their level because they need them. But if once they get to school, they're like, "Oh shit, we can't show anybody this because it's more than 2 levels above what we're allowed to cast." It's
the Harry Potter thing, dude. Yeah, absolutely.
So I highly recommend starting this. Start with book 1
of the first series.
Not of the second series. That will ruin things for you. It may just ruin you. It kind of ruined my life. But anyway, the series is awesome. Highly recommend.
Check it out. The Arthenian Line.
Line by Sever, Bronny.
Right on, man. We'll have to check that out because I'm always, if I can ever find time to read, up for finding new things to read.
Exactly.
Definitely.
I read it in between horse shows where I'm looking up, like my daughter rides for about 30 seconds. There she goes. And she's back to the start, and I've got another 20 minutes of reading. Okay.
Right, gotcha.
And Bob doesn't just read. Let me tell you what. I am creating, he's part of the game creation, and I'm sitting here reading stuff off. And by the time I got the first 2 sentences read, he's reading off the very last sentence. So he doesn't just read. He speed reads like the fucking Flash.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. You have always been a fast reader.
Yeah, I was trying not to show her that I was reading that fast because she's reading it to me, and I'm like going, she's really into this. I'm like going, but she's really, I'm down. I'm already down. She hands me the sheet, and I'm like going, yeah. Oh, she's reading it. Okay.
Yeah, I can read. I can read really fast too, but it has to be material I'm interested in. Like if I sit down to read like Chuck Palahniuk, when I found Chuck Palahniuk, who's probably currently probably my favorite author on the planet. He reminds me of a modern day Vonnegut. For nobody who's ever read fucking Chuck Palahniuk, he wrote Fight Club. He wrote a great book called Choke, another great book called Survivor. Choke was fantastic.
Fucking Choke was great, but what was the one about the transgender?
That was the second book I read.
I can't remember the name. That book was fucking amazing.
It was called Invisible Monsters.
Did they ever make that into a movie?
No.
That was fucking. I don't think you could do it.
It was called Invisible Monsters, and it was about this. The whole book started off at this girl's wedding, where a transsexual and a girl with half a jaw show up at this wedding and start shooting people. And that's how the book starts. And I'm like, okay, that's pretty awesome. And then you go back and you find out like the girl with no jaw was actually like a really pretty model. And like she was driving through LA and a random bullet from a drive-by came through her window and blew her entire bottom jaw off. So now she's turning into this kind of hideous creature, And the beauty of what I love about Palahniuk's writing too is it comes across very much like in that book was all about the model industry and like the fucking the fashion industry. So it was written like a Vogue magazine. So it's like you would get through to here and then it would say continued on page 37, and then they'd go to a whole different part of the book. And when you got to 37, it would pick up where that left off. It was genius the way it was put together. But
sounds awesome.
But yeah, like when I first read Fight Club, I sat down on my parents' back porch in Florida, and I was like, I'd just seen the movie over. I think you were living with Randy at the time, and we watched it over at Randy's, and then I flew to Florida, and I'm down there, and I'm on my parents' back porch waiting for my parents to get home because I didn't have a key to the house yet. I was only down there a couple of days, and I picked up that book, and I sat in the back porch and read it in an afternoon, like sitting on the back porch of my parents' house. Because number one, it's not a long book; it's only about 200 pages. You know what I mean? But
it pulls you in.
I'm just like, holy shit, this is fucking amazing. Like his shit, I can read fast. Brandon Easton Ellis, amazing writer, love him so much. Cannot read his stuff fast. He's the guy that wrote American Psycho, and like that guy will take 6 pages to describe a business card. You know what I mean? Like it's very difficult to read him quickly because of how in depth he is with his description. You know.
So the true test of how fast you can read is how fast you read the Silmarillion.
12 years and I'm still not finished. I pick it up, I make about 5 or 6 pages, I get fucking pissed, and then I rage quit the book. Blam! I put the same fucking bookmark back in it that I've been putting back in it for years now.
Why has every elf got the same fucking name with 1 letter difference?
Exactly right.
Yeah. It sounds, each elven name sounds like when I was a kid in church where people were speaking in tongues. That's how they named it.
Right on. All right. Well, I guess we'll move on to the last topic here. And you know what? I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on this one. There was, I want to say there was a lot of controversy leading up to even discussing whether or not we were going to discuss this topic. You know, it does.
Well, there's a good reason.
Of course.
This is a dicey subject.
This is a very dicey subject, and we are 4 very different individuals that have 4 very different backgrounds and opinions and views on life. So, what my goal here is I want to attack this in 2 different ways. First, I want to talk about the factual basis of what's being said, and then second, I just want to kind of talk about all of our personal view on it and what we think the real problem is. I'd like to try to stay away from this devolving into a ridiculous fucking mudslinging debate. But so what we're going to talk about here is violence in video games. And I bring that up because both the President of the United States and a congressman, I want to say congressman, he's either a congressman or a governor from
California.
It was California.
McCarthy.
His name's McCarthy. I just can't remember if he's a congressman or a governor.
I do have to say though, I pulled up her quote. What the video game association lady, what's her name? The spokesman, the lady came out. She held herself very well.
Well, I mean, what we're talking about here is that it was somebody named McCarthy from California and the president both in the recent mass shootings that took place last weekend. We lost 31 souls, I believe. 31 people died between both of them. And they had mentioned... Well, the McCarthy from California made it much more prominent when he was on Fox News and I think on the Daily Caller as well with Carlson Tucker, or Tucker Carlson, Carlson Tucker. Jesus Christ, I've been talking way too fucking long. Fucker Carlson. But anyways, they said that essentially they're blaming video games for this. They're including it. Trump did not come out and blame it. I will give him credit there. He included it with a bunch of other things, saying it is part of the problem. The McCarthy person from California was like, no,
Kevin McCarthy.
Kevin McCarthy's like, this is a fucking problem. First thing I want to address is how absolutely ridiculous this notion is. Like a big thing they talk about is how video game violence is leading to people doing this. Well, okay, if you look at things from a purely scientific perspective, Occam's razor, all right? Occam's razor, everybody here probably knows what Occam's razor is. It means, given all things are equal, the simplest solution is usually the one that's true. All right, they're trying to say that video games are causing these mass shootings. If you look at the statistics, the amount of video games that are purchased worldwide, it's $1 billion industry. There are several countries out there. China is one of them. I believe South Korea is another that consume as much, if not more, video game content than we do, and they have no mass shootings. So by process of elimination, you can look at this and say it's not a video game issue, because if it was, we would have worldwide problems with mass shootings. Wow. It wouldn't be centralized in the United States. So I think that right there makes it absolutely ridiculous. And, I don't know. What are your guys' opinions on that? Because I just think it's absurd to say that video games are the problem.
I think without leading down that rabbit hole,
and it's a big one.
It's a big one, so I'm choosing my words very carefully. It was the easiest scapegoat without funding getting pulled.
Right. That's a great way to put it, actually. And I agree. You had mentioned this yesterday, Curt. Like, you noticed that when you started to research it, you could only find a couple of articles.
Yeah, this isn't catching on.
But
No.
but the day after it happened, it was on every news site. And we spoke about this last night too, Bob. And that is, I think it was a distraction. It was to say, let's look at that and not talk about what the real problem is. Let's just look at that. And it showed up on every news cycle and everything else, distracting the conversation away from the fact that this happened. You know what I mean?
The last two presidents have been masters of that tactic.
I will agree.
If something horrific is going on, they will click their fingers, or they've effectively dug us from what the movie about the balloons. Up,
yeah.
Squirrel.
Yeah.
And everybody looks to the left.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And the last two presidents have been masters of distraction.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%, man. I think a lot of that has to do with the prominence of social media. That Facebook hit its peak of popularity during Obama's presidency. Yeah. Obama mentioned Facebook in the fucking State of the Union. All right. And he was the first president that really reached out through social media. And even in that great hack movie, they talk about, we learned this from the Obama campaign, like how they use social media to reach out to people. Absolutely. And so yes, I agree with you 100%. And the current administration does the exact same thing. It's like they have learned how to take social media and make it this bell you can ring to make everybody turn and look away from what's actually going on. I saw a great meme today that actually posted that said, it had a picture of this guy with a look on his face like memes do, but the statement it was saying was correct. We start talking about video games and mass shootings and all this stuff happens right when we are busting wide open a global fucking pedophile ring in which two presidents are attached to somebody in it.
Yeah,
more than that.
Yeah, I know, but what I'm saying, we know that Bill Clinton and Donald Trump both had associations with this guy who is getting blown off that it's a global-sized fucking pedophile ring, and then we have two mass shootings and we get distracted by video games. You know what I mean?
Now, what I would like to say this is, first of all, I am a very fact-driven person. My theory in life is, and y'all can be pissed off at me as much as you want, people lie, facts don't. And this has been proven to me time and time again. So if y'all are like, fuck you, she does facts, well, you know what? Fuck you. I bet you lied more times than I can.
I constantly say I'm going to throw logic at that problem.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So when I was in college, English 101, I had to write an argumentative paper. Well, that was right around the time that video games were getting blamed for something again.
Right.
So I wrote one hell of a paper, got 98% on it, and they published it for the school.
Yeah.
Because I brought so many, I'm not going to bore you guys with facts, but I brought science into it. It wasn't just a fuck you, you're wrong, you're picking on this.
Right.
I brought science into it and I proved them wrong. So there is science to back what we're saying.
Right, exactly. Like after those statements were made, multiple news organizations had people on there that are like professors of psychology, professors of behavior, saying this is absolutely ridiculous. Like this is not the case. You know what I mean? Like the video games are not contributing to that, and they talk a lot about how video games are actually quite helpful. They use virtual reality. I mean, I know the movie The Lawnmower Man, terrible movie out of the 80s or out of the late 80s, early 90s. That had nothing to do with the story it was based on. But they do a lot of learning rehabilitation using virtual reality, and that's actually in practice now. You know what I mean? Like they are using that in practice now, and it's been proven that video games can help with hand-eye coordination. Yeah. All that kind of stuff. So, I think this notion that because people are running around shooting people in Fortnite makes them go out and kill people, in real life is ridiculous.
Hey, full stop. I want you guys to know that I sat down with a mission to play devil's advocate.
Yeah.
Because I'll be honest with you.
Right.
I get it. I understand why they scapegoat him. Mm-hmm. Because you can't, think about this, and it seems logical. If you have rehearsed this stuff over and over in your head, especially a child's soft mind.
Right.
Because what percentage of games are violent? it's a lot.
Yeah.
But see,
Most compelling games are violent. And for kids to sit down and do this over and over again, this is rehearsed behavior in their head. Why
they
wouldn't that
actually
follow through? Like, that absolutely makes sense. So when I began digging, I was totally expecting to have some findings,
Right.
or that there would be mixed results. And the most critical thing that they did say about any one of these studies was that it did render mixed results. Well, they found the Columbine shooters were playing Castle Wolfenstein. Well, okay, they were also wearing shoes.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of stuff that, okay, it might point to it, but we don't have any conclusive studies.
Right.
So, and yeah, there's a total lack of support for this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I thought for sure there would be a ton of sites, articles, research on how damaging this is. Because I can't imagine that it doesn't desensitize you after a
Right.
fashion, especially the more graphic games get, and kids get really numb to it.
And more realistic.
Yeah,
don't
and more
don't they
realistic.
use some of it for military training now currently?
Absolutely.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's one thing is
See-
like where it's eating each other, where, you know, games like Call of Duty, they're inspired by war also. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just like feeding itself
Yeah,
at this
absolutely.
point. It's really
now,
odd.
see, here's my argument with that. And Curtis, I completely get the fact that some video games should not even be on the fucking market. But you know what? I've done some things in my life that y'all probably think are pretty fucking absurd. So you cannot get on national television and say video games are not to blame and not blame television.
Or
You
just say
can-
video games are to blame.
Yeah, you can't blame video games and not blame television.
Right.
At prime time television, you can turn on the TV and see boobs, raping, killing, murdering, you name it, it's on 8 o'clock.
Yeah, that's a valid point, man. You know, like, I mean, look at. I mean, do you think people stopped? Do you honestly think people stopped their teenage children from watching Daredevil or Punisher?
Right.
I mean, look at Punisher. Punisher is all about going out and he punishes the evil people. You know
Or
what I mean?
Deadpool.
He murders them. Deadpool.
That goes back to that, like, starting in the early 90s, where they started to produce entertainment like Beavis and Butthead and stuff,
Right.
where parents are like, my kids are watching this. They're like, well, don't like your kids fucking watch it. Just
Right.
shitty kids. Like, don't fucking show them this
Right.
thing. It's for adults. I think that was hard for people to grasp, but they're making adult entertainment that is also a cartoon.
Yeah, exactly.
So be judicious about what your kid watches. Like, be
And
careful.
That's the same conclusion that Trent and I came up with yesterday. It's not a video game problem. A video game may be a part of the equation.
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe. We don't know. It's a societal problem. You've got families now that can't make it on one income. That, you know, back in Curt, when you and I was growing up, your mom didn't work. My mom didn't work. They were stay-at-home moms.
My mom didn't work either.
Yeah.
My mom did work.
Okay. So I mean, there was a parent there. There was
Yeah.
a parent there to make sure that your homework was done, your chores were done, if you had them. Dinner was on the table when Dad
Yeah.
walked in the door.
To simply talk to you and be involved in your life.
Yes.
You know?
So I mean, and now you've got families that can't make it on two incomes, and you've now got dad and mom working two jobs.
Right.
And who's raising the kids? The TV and the video games.
Exactly. And on
Yeah.
top of it, too, you know, this is where it leads into, this is a perfect segue, actually, because I wanted to head next to, I think we kind of talked about whether or not if there's any factual basis in it. I wanted to head into, like, what our feelings are and what the actual problem is. And you know, I don't think any of us can come up with a solution. But, you know, this leads right into what I talked to you last night about what I believe where the problem lies here. And I don't think the problem isn't guns, because we've had guns in this country for a long time, and mass shootings didn't start until a couple of decades ago. You know, we've had I don't think it's President Trump. I mean, a lot of people were going to jump on that bandwagon because the man speaks a lot of vitriol rhetoric, man. He has a lot of volatile rhetoric that comes out. But you know what? The left does too. The far-reaching left, the weird Antifa fuckers, those people are just as fucking aggressive and angry. And it's like, I think we have fostered, it's twofold in my opinion, we have fostered a society of us versus them. And it's everything is us versus them. Our politics, our daily life, we got to be better than our neighbor. I mean, we watch our fucking neighbors do it. Our neighbors try to out-mow each other. You know what I mean? Like, they try to do better jobs mowing their lawns. Yeah. Like, everything is a competitive effort. Everything is us versus them. There is no idea of we are people with two very differing opinions who need to sit down and find common ground to find a solution to the problem. It's no, I'm right, you're wrong. No, you're wrong, I'm right. And that's what we've fed her. That's what we've fostered in her over the last decade or so. That coupled with mental health. Now, I want to make sure we distinguish the difference between mental illness and mental health. I'm not talking about people having depression or a diagnosed mental disease. I'm talking about our inability in this country to recognize that every human being needs overall well-being, overall mental health to be able to exist and survive.
Absolutely.
And you have these people who are beat down. They're not making any more money. All their bills are going up. They got to get a second job to pay their medical bills. They're not getting a raise. They never get a vacation. They never get days off. They're called in on the fucking weekends. They never get a moment, and it keeps beating them down and beating them down. And then they come home and they flip on the news, and all they see is this guy's an asshole. This guy's an asshole. This guy's an asshole. This guy's an asshole. And it's nonstop over and over again. And somebody who is of a fragile psychological mindset is going to break, and they're going to go and they're going to hurt people. And that is where I think that shit is coming from, man. That is my opinion on all of it. I don't see.
You're right. It's the other. It's that we there is no us. It's us and them.
Yeah.
All over the fucking place.
Right.
But see, this problem is not going to get fixed until everybody can sit down and put their differences aside and say, look, this is a problem. We have kids growing up shooting each other. We want grandkids one day. How are we going to fix this problem?
Right.
Well, I'll tell you, like, as a progressive lefty, I'll fucking take Medicare for all over any kind of assault weapon ban, fucking gun legislation. Because I think, like you said, that would solve way more problems.
Absolutely.
Because we need some help. Like, people are failing. And I think that they're showing that more and more young people are like, fuck it, why work?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't pay off. They've watched their parents work 2 to 3 jobs that just barely make it. Why the fuck would I go out there and do that?
Yeah.
Right. It's the same reason that young people they're not getting married, they're not having children, they're not buying homes, which is affecting the economy. And they're not doing it because they're like, why would I? Like, I sit here and watch my parents beat themselves to death to pay off a fucking home loan.
Yeah, they weren't happier for it. They're not proud of it. It's fucking miserable.
They're like, why would I do that? By the time I'm out of college, I got $100,000 in fucking student loan debt. What do you want me to do? Take on another $50,000 in debt to buy a house? On another $150,000 in debt to buy a house? Are you out of your fucking mind? Like,
okay, real quick, round table though. Solve it right now. What's your solution?
What's my solution?
Trent.
To mass shootings?
All the world's problems.
All the world's problems? my solution to all the world's problems is everybody, money is irrelevant. Everybody gets what they need. Everybody plays Dungeons and Dragons and smokes lots of pot. That's my answer.
Stormy.
Pot and definitely tabletop gaming.
Oh, we're on our way. And Bob, solve the world's problems right now.
42.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing that one in, man.
Yeah. I like Tolkien wrote in The Hobbit, if good food and good music were valued above hoarded gold, better world this would be.
I agree 100%, man, And Bob and I were talking about this a lot last night. We got a lot of this conversation out last night when we were here working.
Yeah.
But, like I even mentioned to you, and I'd love to hear your opinions, and let everybody else know too what your thoughts are. Because Bob, out of all of us, is probably the most avid gun owner and more right-leaning than any of us here at this
100%.
table. But you had some very interesting points last night when we discussed what your thoughts were on the legislation sitting on the Senate right now for improved background checks and red flag laws. I don't understand why those are getting passed, and I'm curious why those aren't being passed. I'm curious what your thoughts are coming from somebody who is much more avid gun owner than I am.
I would just like to preface this by the fact that all of us sitting in this room we've been friends for years.
Yeah.
And we all have very different opinions. And I honestly figured when Trent suggested this, I'm like, I almost didn't want to show up because I'm like, this is going to be the three of them versus me. And I'm going to throw logic at the problem.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
I don't think we'd ever do that.
No.
Yeah. And that's why I'm here, because
I hope that you trust us.
We need more of this. We need people with different ideas sitting around a table coming up with valid solutions.
And I don't think blaming video games is going to solve the problem.
Right.
Hint, hint, motherfucker.
No, it solves their problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They wanted, like,
totally,
why don't you do something about it? Like, it's video games. And it works, like he said.
they totally squirreled us.
It's tested really well in the test group.
It's an optics thing. But still, I'd like to hear your thoughts on that.
First of all, I think the background check system that we currently have is broken.
Yeah.
And everybody should know that. It is antiquated and needs overhauled. When I work for a place that sells, and I'm actually not sure if I'm allowed to say this. Fuck it. I work for a place that sells guns. Mm-hmm. And when the NICS system, the National Criminal System, something comes up, it gives us a list of people that comes up. It's like going, do you know this person? If you know this person, then I'm not allowed to sell you. You don't say this, but I'm not allowed to sell you a gun. It's like, if they've got the similar name, it's like, because you can't sell a gun to somebody that lives in the same house as somebody that has a felony.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So it's like, I have to ask the question, do you know so-and-so that lives here?
Right.
No. Okay. Do you know so-and-so that lives here? No. Are you related to? No. Okay. Then we can go on with the sale. Really? That's how antiquated the system is.
Wow.
Okay.
That's
crazy.
insane, man.
So the background system needs overhauled. I do believe that during gun shows, there needs to be a paper trail. If it's not the 4473, which is the government form for selling a firearm, then there needs to be a paper trail that says, Curtis sold me this gun,
Right.
that serial number is now, and it needs to be logged somewhere.
Right, because they're not doing that at all right now. Well, I think some of them are, but certain sales get around that because everybody talks about the gun show loophole.
Right. Now, the red flag law that's going out there, for God's sake, somebody pass this fucking thing.
Yes.
Because if you know somebody out there that's off their fucking rocker,
Yeah.
Right.
Or that El Paso shooter, like the mom or the sister. Somebody had called the police and were like, my son has a fucking machine gun and I'm scared shitless he's going to do something stupid with it.
Right.
for God's sake, somebody go out and fucking look at that.
Yeah, exactly.
Please.
Yeah, it's insane that doesn't happen. Like, it's insane. I mean, and I know people are really afraid of that leading to a point of the cops just being able to come and take your guns for no reason. But, like, we need some kind of check in place for them to at least be able to go investigate.
That's the problem with, like, there's no smoking gun. Well, why do we have to fucking wait until the gun is smoking?
Yeah, exactly. Like, it is a very fine line to tread, because that can quickly lead to, government confiscation for any reason they want.
But at what point are we going to have to do that?
What I want to get it away from, though, is they shouldn't be coming to confiscate your weaponry. The police, the red flags, should be sending the police who are trained
Or psychologists.
To come and speak to the person, because then they can go, this person is in an abnormal state of mind. Don't confiscate their fucking guns. Take them to the fucking hospital. Put that person in 72-hour hold like they do for the fucking
when you get
Baker acted. Go put them in a fucking room. Let some doctors talk to them. Give them a nice quiet place to relax for a minute, and make sure they're not going to go kill people. Don't take their guns. Take them. Put them in a room and let them fucking let them get some sleep for a couple days, dude. You know what I mean? Like, that, I think, is the answer. You know what I mean? We need to focus more on people's minds and their general mental health. We in this country have a knack for putting a stigma on anybody that says, I'm overwhelmed, I am drained, I need a break. Your job's like, what? You need a break? Unless you're fucking vomiting and have a fever 105, you don't get to take the day off. You know what? You should be able to say, you know what, dude, my brain is fried, I need a day to rest, I'm taking the day off.
Mental health days should be a thing, for God's sake.
Exactly.
Everybody needs the ability to take a day off.
Right.
It's like, I am stressed, I can't do this, I'm taking tomorrow off.
Exactly. I read a great article that a girl had wrote. She worked for a tech company, a big one too, I think, somewhere like Yahoo or Google or something like that. And she had emailed this letter to her supervisor and had said, like, you know what? I'm having a rough time of it. She had problems with anxiety and clinical depression, and she's like, listen, for my mental health, I need a day off, and this and that. And her supervisor like went up one side and down the other about it, and like was all pissed off and pushed this thing up the chain. And here it's adding to her anxiety and stress, thinking she's going to get fired. And it gets to the CEO of the company, who responds and replies to all that had been included in the email chain and says, all I have to say to you is, take your mental health day, because it is so fucking important. And I give mad respect and mad props to you for the fact that you are willing to come and say that you need a mental health day. Not enough people do this. More people need to do it, and you're completely entitled to taking this day off. And he fired her supervisor for fucking trying to get her in trouble for taking a mental health day. And the CEO is like, fuck you, you're fired. You got your job, take your days.
Wow.
Like, yeah, dude, that's amazing. It's starting to get some respect. I still don't think it's enough, man, because I'm an avid fucking believer that unwell in your head, not mental illness, mental health is responsible for addiction. It's responsible for fucking drug use, alcoholism, fucking mass shootings, suicide, all of it, man. Every one of us get to a point to where we are just beaten into the ground and can't take anymore. And sometimes the only way you get away from that, shit, I did it for 5 years, man. I spent 3 days a week at a bar drinking my fucking issues away because it's just like, I can't deal with this anymore. Life has got me beaten into a corner. This is the only way I can deal with it. Right. And I discovered it was my mental health problems I had psychologically that was causing me to head down that road. You know what I mean? It's people always talk about alcoholism and that being a disease. I disagree. I think it's a symptom.
Yeah.
You know? But I don't want to go down that road too much.
And I'm scared to death that the red flag log is going to turn into a gun confiscation.
Right.
But we need somebody to go out there and say, hey, he wrote a list. Well, has anybody talked to him?
Yeah.
Right.
Go talk to him.
Go talk to him, exactly.
I like the mental evaluation portion of that rather than the gun grab.
Yeah, there's no reason you should come take the guns,
Right.
man. You know, come talk to him and take them away, man. Give him a little mental evaluation. And, you know, the Baker Act, somebody is threatening themselves, you call the cops, they come pick them up and they put them in a psych ward for 72 hours. They have to be observed, and a psychologist has to say, all right, you're okay to go. You know what I mean? So it's like, why can't we do that when people are like, when they get a phone call saying, my son has a machine gun and I'm worried he's going to do something. Like, the cops should be able to go there, talk to him. Right. There's a psychological test that they could give him that would sit there, there's simple questions to ascertain his state of mind, and then determine what the best course of action is.
Now, prior to me working in retail, I worked in the mental health field for 11 years. And the amount of funding that they are getting is getting cut in half yearly.
Yeah.
There are less and less places for people to go.
Mm-hmm.
There are less and less psychologists and psychiatrists to be able to talk to them.
Yeah.
Right.
And most of the kids that I dealt with should have been in a much more secure, much more controlled environment than what they were. But we were the only place that could take them, because the places below us, the places above us were no longer there, and the places below us that handled the kids that we normally would be getting don't exist anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So
how the fuck is that possible?
I know, right? I mean, it's just insane. I mean, it's Jesus.
And the fact,
and those kids that don't get that help turn into adults.
Right. So everybody below the most like high risk kids are not getting help at all.
Right.
Because there's nobody to help them. And that, again, goes back to my comment at the beginning. And there's nobody at home to talk to them to find out that they need help.
Exactly. 100%, man.
And the fact that you said you hadn't taken a vacation in 10 years.
Yeah, when I went on my honeymoon was the first time I've taken a 7 days in a row off in a decade.
The fact that there are more unused vacation days in the United States than there are used vacation days in any given year.
Mm-hmm.
Finland, and for God's sakes, please enact this law, because my boss is driving me nuts. If your boss calls you after 5 p.m. in the day, it charges the company the government charges the company $5,000.
Yep.
Fuck yeah!
Per call.
If they send you a call or an email after
Yep.
5 p.m., they can be charged ridiculous amounts of money. I know, I agree with that 100%, man. Like, it is, man. It's insane. It's one thing I have a lot of respect for the company I work for. Like, they are very adamant about work-life balance. And, like, 5 o'clock hits, man, there's no more communication. And it doesn't matter where things got left off. It doesn't matter if you're in the middle of something. If it's not breaking our software, it gets resumed at 9 a.m. And that's just the way it is. And I actually got not scolded, but I got told to stop trying to work on the weekends because I'm used to doing that. You know what I mean? But like this company's really great about that. So there are good companies out there that do, and me, I have unlimited paid time off. I can take vacations whenever I want with this company. As long as my stuff's done, they don't care. You know, that's a good thing. And I want to see that start to proliferate. You know, the company I'm working for is new, you know, and they're a startup. And I want to see that attitude go further because I think it needs to happen, you know?
And Curt, I could never. Well, I did do your job, and I fucking hated it. Okay,
but the beauty of it was, though, when you fucking walked out of there, you're done. Amy,
right.
Calling you.
I cannot do factory work. I cannot fucking do it. It's a special person, I think, that can do the same fucking thing every minute of the day, all day long. It's not me.
Yeah.
It's
the
not
parade
me.
in my head doesn't fucking end. I have a good disconnect. Like I thrive on tedium. I don't produce quality work, but I can do it without fucking hollering or falling apart.
Right.
But the job I'm in now, where I'm I'm third in command in the store. It's like I'm getting emails and texts, and
so it's no wonder.
Yeah, which is
this happens. Like this is figuring in because this is nationwide. Everybody's fucking dealing
exactly.
with this.
You know, it's ridiculous that you should have to do that. If you do have to do that, you should be getting paid for it. You know what I mean? You get paid hourly, right? Not salary.
I get paid hourly.
Exactly.
So I'm not getting paid.
You're not getting paid for those calls, which you should be. You know what I mean? Like, or you should be getting paid a salary. It's the whole thing is fucked and ridiculous, and I think we've said enough about it at this point.
I think we have.
Yes.
Guys, it's late. We ran a long one today, man. I know, and my Browns are getting ready to start playing here, so I'm ready to go watch some football.
Gonna be badass.
But anyways, I wanted to thank everybody for joining us, man. Like, appreciate it, and I appreciate everybody approaching that last subject with me. I know it was a little dicey, and we were a little concerned about how it was going to turn out, but I thought it was an intelligent.
Cheryl was. I was telling her about it before, and she's like, "Man, are you sure you're even going to want to talk about this?" And I go, "Listen to me. If we can't talk about it, then there's no fucking hope that anyone in this country can come together.
Yeah.
But I know that we can.
Yeah.
But
we need more people
guys,
sitting around this table.
We sat down with.
Yeah, absolutely.
And talked it, which. I had a lot of red flags.
Stormy got very angry at me last night.
Yeah.
It's all flagged.
So, but I want to say how proud I am of everybody.
Yeah.
She all proved me wrong.
Absolutely.
That was a beautiful conversation. Nothing devolved into hate or vitriol, and
It
essentially
wasn't political bashing.
Essentially, all four of us here who have
this
four
is
very
beyond politics at this point.
Exactly, but all four of us come from very different attitudes and thoughts on life, and we sat down and pretty much all landed right in the same fucking place. You know what I mean? We all kind of landed right in the middle there. Like, this is an issue that needs to be fixed. It's a social issue. It's not anybody's fault. We need to find a way to fix this. You know,
and leave my guns alone.
And leave his guns alone. On that note.
On that note, see you guys later.
I want to say thanks to everybody again. Mad shout out to CJ and Dan in the back helping us out. And then you can check me out on at Tilted Simeon.
At Stormy FTG.
Dragon Stick FTG.
Destroyer Court on Twitter.
That's right. And you can also follow First Table Gaming at First TBL Gaming. So website's going to be launching soon. You guys can check it out. Thanks for joining us. I guess we'll see you next time.
That's right. Love yourself, people.
Later, nerds.
Take it easy.
Well, that's it for this installment of the Lunatic Parade Podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to middle-aged white guys shoot their mouth off about nerdy crap. See you next week.